Добрый день. Запускаем трансляцию, смотрим турнир по папку. У кого есть желание, присоединяйтесь. Сейчас обновим, секундочку.
And good to go. We are here at PGC 2022 for the winners bracket and the 16 teams that make up this lobby of the best in the world. They comprise of the truest, strongest lobby we may have ever seen in PUBG esports history. And now we get to watch them all battle it out in a best of 10 to find out which 8 teams move through into the grand final. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Kylaris, and joining me to my left-hand side, 3 people this time for the desk. We've got Toby, we've got Avenger. It's an all-EU desk. Even, well, UK, you know what I mean. But anyway, Toby, nice to have you here, as always. How you doing, fella?
Good to be here. I'm doing amazing, as you said, coming into it. Probably the most stacked level we've ever seen in all of PUBG, so what's not to be hyped about?
No, indeed, Avenger, and we've watched as these teams have battled it throughout their group stages. We saw rises from excellent teams across the board here, but this lobby is so good.
It's going to be so hard, right? We're looking at just 2 days, a BO10, and if you get a great start, you're going to be able to play quite nicely through the rest of it. 2 good games in the first day, and you're pretty much already qualified.
Well, we had ourselves 6 days of gameplay leading up to this. We now find ourselves in the winners bracket. The remaining 16 teams that did not make it here will be going down to that lower bracket, and then from there we then have, of course, our lower bracket two into grand survival, into grand final. And overall, Toby, the format's relatively simple actually. When you look at it, we will have 8 teams advance from here, 4 teams advance on from our lower brackets, and then 4 teams from grand survival.
Easy to understand, but going to be incredibly hard to get through if you find yourself down there in some of the lower seats.
Yeah, I mean, even the lower bracket itself, when we look at that lobby, Avenger is still stacked as well, because this is the 30 best teams in the world.
Exactly, and I'm actually really happy to see these teams that are in this situation here, because already now they're in such much better of a spot than the guys that are in the loser bracket first, because these guys are going straight into another chance of top 4, and then they'll still be guaranteed to go into the grand survival after that. Loser bracket's gonna be a whole different story.
Меньше шансов будет попасть в турнирную сетку. Всего будет играть 32 команды потом в полуфинале.
3 Erangels into 2 Miramars, 3 Miramars into 2 Erangels across these 2 days.
32, мне кажется, да, 32.
Usually when we have these tournaments, it's pretty easy to go out and say who's going to be on the top, who might not be. For this one, any of these 16 can bring it home.
Alright, here's the prize pool overall. This is the base prize pool that we start with, and then from there we will also have contributions coming from in-game as well as Avenger.
Yeah, of course. We have the 30% that is being added on top of it, and if it continues like it is, some of the conspiracies out there have been first place might be $1 million.
Ooh, lovely. Yeah. Lovely stuff. So that'll be very nice. A good chunk of change for you if you move on through. But of course, even all the way down to 32nd, these teams will be getting themselves a prize pool. All right, let's take a look at the 16 teams that are making their way here to the arena. And fair to say, what we saw from Group A, especially as well, lots of people, Toby, looked at that as one of the group of death, and we saw Na'Vi prevail on top.
They played phenomenally. Didn't get off to the strongest start, but as they normally do, when we doubt them the most, that's when they turn things around, and all of a sudden they made it look like it was easy cakewalk for them.
When you don't pick one of the Na'Vi players, that's where they prevail.
Usually.
That's true, yeah. Oh, now that I've picked Example, they're not going to do
No, it's only when Toby does it.
I had Example on my team.
Oh, you do? Okay.
But I didn't make him I didn't have him as captain.
The so double negative, maybe.
We'll see. Well, I wasn't very blessed when it came to my Group B choices. Speaking of Group B, though, of course, E United was able to top that out. But just in general, I feel like the level of competition still excellent in Group B, Martin, when we looked at how they were playing things out.
Yeah, for sure. All the teams here competing, you look at this, and this is going to be insane. It's going to be hard as hell to get top 8 in this situation here. Of course, some teams we might be looking as favorites, but I kind of have a feeling that even if you got top 3 in your group, it's not going to be easy to go through this year. You have to have a good start. You have to have high momentum from the get-go. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind by the world-class teams that are going to be playing in this lobby here.
No, of course. I mean, EU and North America might have been able to top the groups, but you've got to still look at the Asian region as a strong, powerful one.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Let's talk about teams like 17 Gaming, of course, which technically still has that mid-drop spot. Neither SGD or Sonics made it here, Toby.
No one contesting them. An interesting story coming into things. Everyone was looking forward to Xiao Bei on LAN. He wasn't here. Sushu comes through, picks up the slack, and oh my lord, has he been delivering. Of course, now coming into this lobby, things are going to be changing up, but as you're saying, not contested early on. I'm expecting to see 17 kind of pick it up where they left off yesterday, just farm their way through it.
Quickly on 17 Gaming from me is, I feel like if you have Picardo with Chingy, and being a top contender team, you're going to be going through in the top 8 just with this drop spot uncontested.
Yeah, it's a powerful one. Let's talk about Twisted Minds as well up at the top. It's effectively EMEA's true hope because they are so consistent. What do you think, Mine, coming in?
I think every single tier list I've seen, they've been in the very top, the S tier, the favorites, everything. And honestly, for me as well, they are up there. I think it's a big hope for them, of course, coming into this year. And they have no pressure going into it. They have been feeling good. They've been looking good. Also, fantastic spots, good locations that we've been seeing from. And also, once we get to Miramar, it looks like they're going to have a lot of space around the high ground.
That reminds me, Mr. Toby over here, I'll bring in all the T's, the tier list tyrant. Where did you have Cerberus?
I probably didn't have them all that high. Maybe not as high as they probably should have, but
they did all right, didn't they?
They have been playing fairly well, I think it's safe to say.
Yeah, exciting to see how they're going to fare as well. APAC is a region that I think not many of us had huge expectations for, but they've just come out of the gate blasting. Well, let's talk about the top two at the very tippity top of these groups, Na'Vi and United. And Na'Vi, for all intents and purposes, as you said, when you look at their overall performances, either absolute #1, Martin, or we get a PCS7 situation. I don't think we'll be in the PCS7 situation, though.
No, I don't think so either. What we've seen from 15 games here, competing at a global stage, they are looking poised to go. And honestly, PCS7 could just be a fluke, you know, just be like, all right, we are already kind of through, like, it's fine, it's a blip, it's a one-off, but I have high hopes too, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them compete here.
And off of that, the dangerous thing for me about Na'Vi is having seen their bad days, when you're playing a format now where we're constantly resetting, when you have 10 games, if they got an off day today, even with a good day tomorrow, that might not be enough. Yeah,
true. But for Kickstart and United boys, it felt like the majority of their days were good. Yes, I think the last day in Group B, the start wasn't amazing, but they ramped it way back up here, Toby. It was very powerful for me, United.
When people expect them to come out on top, the least they come out and deliver, and they have impressed me. I said it during the cast yesterday. I think that United playing this tournament is the best we've ever seen out of an NA team.
They're so consistent.
They are. For me, though, they are going away from our shelter spot to Milta. Then Yahoo pushed them off from that case. On the other side, on Miramar, they're going to be looting all of Hacienda, all of San Martin, and all of the compounds around. So that is going to be super strong going into Miramar.
All right, gentlemen, well, we're ready to head over to an interview here as we talk to the top teams from each group coming into the winners bracket.
It's an all-EU desk, and we've now got an all-EU interview. My name is Sam. I'm also known as Tech Girl, and I am here getting to chat to all the players. Example from Na'Vi is with me here. Top of your group. Now, lackluster performance example in PCS7, but then you come here, you top the group. So what preparation did the team do leading up to PGC?
Well, there is nothing special. We just played a lot of PUBG.
I'm gonna ask you, there we go. We need to hear you, my friend.
Okay. So there is nothing too special. We just played a lot of PUBG, so that we are at high level, and all the needed preparation and analyzing was made by our coach. So yeah, we feel confidence.
You should be confident. You've had an impressive performance, but you've now got to face up against the top 8 teams from Group B. So which team in Group B has impressed you the most?
I would say KM is doing a great job because it's their first offline tournament, and PGC, it's nice.
Thank you so much for chatting to us. Example, I know you want to jump into the server. Good luck for the rest of the competition.
Thank you.
We're now going to head on over to the top of Group B, E United. They're right next door, so come with me. I'm here with Kickstart from United. You were top of Group B. Friend, I gotta ask you the question everyone wants to know. I mean, do you not think that you were in the easier group?
I don't think so. I think the groups were pretty even, and I think there's lower teams in both groups, and I just think we played well, so I don't think the groups were that much different.
I like that confident speaker. I was trying to give you a bit of a hard time to start it out, but you weren't going to fall for it. Now, coming into winners bracket, obviously a bit of a mix of the teams. Do you think that there's going to be a few contests for drop spots in the first few games?
I think there might be a fight for military base, but other than that, I don't think there's going to be much fighting in the early games.
Who's the biggest threat for your team in this competition?
I think we have our eyes on like Twisted Minds and New Happy, obviously, but other than that, we're not really scared of anyone. We're not scared of them, but we think it's going to be fun to verse them because we respect them as a team.
So the desk narrative throughout the group stages is that this is the most open PGC yet, most competitive as well. They're saying that any region can take that. Do you agree with them, and why?
I think the way that the games have been going is like it's less strategical and more of like 1v1 based of like mechanical skill, and I think that's a big reason why like any region can do good. I don't know why that feels like that, but that's just like my opinion, is that everyone is just running at each other and fighting, and the mechanical teams win.
Double chicken dinners every day of the group stages. Is it happening for United today?
Hope so. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
I guess we will find out. So there we go. Your interviews are done. We've had a chance to hear from all of the players, and now we're going to get ready to go into game. Let's head on back to the boys on the desk and hear what they have to say as we lead into map number 1.
Thank you very much, Sam, here as we continue to look at our top 4 performers overall. Day Trade United, New Happy and Question Mark. Looking fantastic overall, what we've seen from them here coming into the winners bracket. Phil first, in fact, a bit of a surprise when it comes to overall performances here. One of the newcomers to LAN. So let's see if we can continue that in even higher pressure situation. As you've got plenty to feast your eyes on with the likes of Ming Ming, Kickstart, and Flash. They shouldn't be allowed to take that name because Flash is an all-important name in esports. But you know what? We'll let it slide for now. All right, let's move on then and see exactly how things are shaping up coming into the final here for the winners bracket. I'm in a different position. So let us first click right there and see what's going on, because we have got some highlights to look at here for going into the winners bracket as well. So if I just do a little cheeky, got it, there we go. New toys, new gadgets, we're taking a look at things. So teams to watch, let's drag this up here and have a little look at what we've got going on. Boys, we've got New Happy and United as two big teams coming into this winners bracket.
Yeah, I've been loving what I'm seeing from New Happy so far. They've stepped up to the case. Ming Ming with some incredible individual moves, and they've been looking really good. Of course, the defending PGC champion right now, Toby.
They've been absolutely phenomenal. People doubted them coming in, so saying, can they live up to the performance they had last year? And I think Ming Ming alone said, you know what? Yeah, we'll be all right. They've been fragging, they've been taking out some of the best teams in the world, and they've done it with ease.
And of course, we've seen them across what we've seen from so far from the games have some insane performances. We've seen them win some games, we've seen them do well, but also I like what I've seen from them macro movement wise. It's not just the individual skill, and I think that's what we're going to continue to see from them. Both clever rotations, clever strategy, but also high individual moves together as a team as well.
For sure. United as well, yeah, the winners of Group B. We heard it from Kick just before. He said it's not so much the strategic plays. You got to go up, you got to take the fights. They've been taking the fights, and they've been coming out victorious.
Do you think they can do it in this lobby here?
Yes, but my worry is that they're looting mill to power. They're going to be even slower than they were when they had the shelter alpha lobby split and with prison. So they're going to be a little bit further on the back end unless we continue to see these extreme east shifts and east endings on their angle.
Let's take a look at the Fantasy League then and how that breaks down for your picks coming into the winners bracket. You didn't have much time to make your picks for the winners bracket. However, people got their teams in, you know. We have got Ming Ming, Kickstart looking strong up towards the top. I don't think there's too much surprise here, Toby, with those being picked so regularly.
They were farming, to say the least. I'm actually surprised to see Example not being higher up the list than he is.
Very expensive, but always farming damage. And I've said it so many times on this Desk Avenger, there is never a tournament, even when they place poorly in PCS 7, where Example wasn't farming damage.
No, it's crazy. It's just he is the ADR farmer. He is the ADR GOAT. But there's a few like interesting ones for me in terms of how many have picked it, but also I feel like this fantasy league for the winner bracket was one of the most interesting ones because there is a really expensive one because you also have the captain pick that doubles your points, right?
Yes.
So you kind of want to have that carry that you put your captain on, and then you want to have still some other teams that kind of contribute a little bit.
Let's take a look through some of our talent picks as well then, starting with our casters for today as well as Sam. We've got some captains coming on in here. Lots of appreciation for Flood to start things off.
I mean, obviously with Synox, it's kind of mandatory, but Cam getting him as well now as a representative from NA makes sense too. Actually, Cameron doubling down on NA with Wildcard pick and United. Love to see it.
Both from OCE, so not so much American teams true, but players not so much. But yeah, Sam also looking good. Uber there as Captain Flood going in. Actually a pretty good team, Tongs and Lou. And yeah, honestly, for what I've seen here, it is looking very different compared to what we saw in some of our group stage picks because they're very similar across our talent team.
Yeah, I think we've had a decent opportunity to be able to judge how the players are playing off the back of the last 6 days worth of games. Here are the important people, though. That's right. It's Kalaris, it's Avenger, it's Toby. I'm not going to justify mine just yet. Go on, Avenger.
No, I want to hear quickly what you kind of justified a little bit. Lash K, you decided to go back to a Freaks player after you decided to jump off Ian the last time.
Yes, I did.
And now it's back to Lash K. Lash K is also cheap, I understand it. I'll quickly talk about mine. I feel like I found 2 insane value picks with Spion and Show, and then I had to go with a kind of a little bit of a lower pick, and then some support here for Perfectus Skewers. Expensive, but still 2,000-3,000 lower than some of the very top ones, and I feel he is a really good value for that one. So I'm very confident in my winner bracket team.
Toby,
now, I feel like if you look at my pick, no one's outside of 5K from one another. There's so much value to be found here. Lou, I mean, either of them could have been my captain. Actually, I think I changed my captain to Clip coming into today, so that might be changed. Clip, I feel like, is the bigger fragger of the bunch right there. Lou was my justification pick in the sense that Twisted Minds pretty much always makes late game. So more time spent on the server usually always equals to more damage across the board.
You know how I'm always talking about how I normally go 25, 25, 25, 25. I employed none of that here. And
took your usual logic, you know, like opening the top of your skull through that logic and brain out, and then
what I have is complete blinkers, and I think to myself, example's really good, or I'll just tunnel vision entirely on that and hope for the best.
I think once you have the case where you have some insane players, when you're, you know, getting 100 fantasy points and it doubles, it might be valuable, especially now it's only 10 games.
It's extremely potent is the captain role in the current fantasy and how it does stand. 2 times it might be a little bit.
Yeah, 1.5 is probably the sweet spot. But again, it's the first time we see it, so
exactly.
That's why I've been really good at adjusting once we've given feedback throughout the year and throughout the fantasy team. So maybe next time we see fantasy, it might be just a little bit.
I mean, one main powerful strategy would be having, whilst we have the coupon here, please go and check that out. Use that in-game as well. Sorry, we're just so interested in talking about this. So one powerful strategy might be picking your mid-4 players that you think can all potentially pop off and switching your captain constantly. So
you can only do that once, right? And the chance, per day.
Exactly.
So for me, it's like, if you feel like one is going to have a pop-up day, is that going to be a single day and then it's going to fall off a little bit the next day? So
it's a bit of a gamble as well.
It's a big gamble, but I'm really loving the fantasy, and especially how we're bandering off, you know, air as well to each other. So it's going to be really fun to see.
Well, here in game in the Pick'em Challenge as well, we do have, of course, New Happy still very much up there, Petrichor Road. Wow. Currently in the lower bracket, but I can only imagine the lower bracket might be a fun time for them after that last game that they were able to win.
We were quite a few who were hesitant in believing in the Petrichor rise to the top of the leaderboard, but as you're saying, they sure did manage to turn things around yesterday, and curious to see how they're going to perform down there. But of course, New Happy, most picked team here, previous victors, and with how they've been performing so far, no reason not to pick them.
And do bear in mind, you don't have to pick just yet. You have to pick
just
before the grand final.
Yeah, once we're done with the grand final. Then you can put it in and you'll be done. The deadline is there, but make sure you go into the in-game tab, into the esports tab there, and check it out, because there's so much info, still so much contest, and also go in and claim the coupon, but don't use it. Just hold on to it until you know all the 16.
All right, open forum before we get to the game here then. Toby, which teams are you particularly looking out for here coming into this? It's only a best of 10. all of these teams got to perform in a very heavy sprint against the best teams in the world.
I feel like the teams that played yesterday will be off to a better start simply because they played yesterday. There are other teams that have sat back. Yes, they have more time to prep and watch, but when it all comes down to it, they have to deliver. The guys that came in yesterday, they're going to be more hyped.
I'd love to ask you, Avenger, as well, but we are out of time here for now. We are ready to get the winners bracket underway. So without further ado, it's PGC 2022.
Быть среди лучших игроков всегда захватывающе. Я думаю, что если мы здесь победим, я не смогу описать свои чувства словами.
Việc thua cuộc không nằm trong kế hoạch của bọn mình vì bọn mình đến đây để chứng minh khả năng của bọn mình. 진짜 게임은 지금부터 시작입니다.
I think it's an obvious result. We played our best.
United come out victorious.
Basically, we sucked last year, and we don't want to do that again.
We are getting stronger, but day by day, and I feel like soon we'll be able to compete with us.
Completely wiped them. Is it going to be enough? Formidable opponent in that winners bracket.
당연히 한 번에 올라갈 생각만 하고 있어요. 이번에도 집중력을 잃지 않고 최선을 다할 겁니다.
我从来没有想过这个问题，我觉得我们不可能被淘汰。这次我的决心还是冠军，我要从中吸取到更多的经验。
Мы приехали в Дубай только за победу. На этом турнире мы покажем всю свою мощь.
Na'Vi will take top spot from Group A going into the winners bracket.
Следите за тем, как далеко мы сможем зайти.
The real competition begins now. We head to the winners bracket. We're done with the group stage, Cammy. We've got our best 16 teams from Group A, Group B. They come together now. 8 spots, 10 games to be played over the next 2 days to make their way into the grand final.
Yeah, and the fact that it's only 10 games, I mean, compared to the grand finals, which is going to be 20 games, means they're already talking about it on the desk, right? You really have to come out strong here, but that also means that it's a real opportunity for a number of the different teams, no matter how strongly they placed here into the winners bracket, to just punch that ticket to the grand final, because we've talked about this before. Placing top 8 here, in a way, is going to be like a little easier than trying to go through that losers bracket just grindstone.
Understanding, of course, you've got those bottom 8 teams, respectively, from Group A and B that are in that losers bracket. One, they have to run that gauntlet. For those that obviously don't make top 8 from the winners bracket, they kind of meet them down there in losers bracket 2, where there's only 4 spots. Then there's grand survival. Winning here is absolutely huge for getting into the grand final. 8 spots, like you said, that is a large amount of spots. It's a large amount of chances here. 10 games means that also, if you do start slow, it's not necessarily the end of the world, because there's only so many games to collect a large amount of points anyway, but you do still want to start fast.
Yeah, that gap won't quite be as large around that bubble era that we saw at the end of both groups. But it does mean that if you have like 2 stinkers in a row, 3 stinkers in a row, you're going to have to come up with something huge.
Certainly will. All right, no more waiting around. Winners bracket begins now for PGC 2022. We've got our 16 best teams here from the tournament thus far. Now they do battle. Now we go to the winners and see what they've got to show us here in the winners bracket.
8 from A, 8 from B. Drop spots have already been contested a little bit. We heard Kingston say at the beginning he doesn't think there's going to be that much of a hot drop. I mean, at this point, these teams know how risky it is. You only need to look at Sonics and SGD to know exactly why that is the case. And so I think there probably has been some sort of peace treaties between a couple of different teams, figuring out where they can go safely and just worry about trying to fight it out in the mid game, in the late game, where the things have a lot more control, where the teams have a lot more agency in the combat. The one thing I am curious about, however, is going to be this thing around Milta. That's probably going to carry over a little bit from Group A.
Yeah, that might be the only thing that might carry over from Group A. Of course, we got to
cast Group A firsthand. The hot drops that we saw there were a large influence really on a lot of those games. That's not going to be the case here for the winners bracket. You've only got 10 games. You cannot be affording to go into any of those kind of hot drop scenarios. You just don't really have the time, and yet it has happened anyway. Guangdong Freaks and TMA, and it's a double knockdown immediately from Crazy and Yuppie. Not the start that the Freaks were looking for, but Lulu with the self-nade onto Yuppie. That's not ideal, but they do get the flushes onto Ian and Hikari. Lash K bringing out the mutant here, all you can really find though at the moment. But yeah, we did kind of sense this might eventuate. In saying that, Kemi, I didn't think it actually would. There's only 10 games. They go for it anyway, both of these two teams.
Yeah, Novo's free. Sure, BBL is there on the west side of Sosnovka, but I think this is going to be a one-game thing. And this makes it even worse because even if whichever team survives, which at this point is probably going to be TMA, but then they're going to have to spend all the extra time looting, and they're probably going to have to come in from the blue into this northern circle. Everyone else, including BBL, don't have to worry about this at all. They're just going to make their own standard rotations there to the north side.
For the Guangdong Freaks as well, I mean, they were not a team that was largely in the top 8 for very long in Group A either. Waiki, Kamukau, Nikus, and Wildcard are chasing down a doozy from question mark. Shotgun in hand as well, and they're pretty much catching up very quickly here. A doozy could be in trouble if any of these land. Tough shots to hit, but they get a bit closer and closer. Wildcard sensing points on the board here could be in hand, but a doozy should be able to get away from this.
If they saw some blood, a few of the shots landed, then I think they probably would have committed to that, but it's a good idea to turn away right now. They don't want to overcommit right here onto Sosnovka Island once again. The surviving Freaks do have weaponry. TMA, they want to push this, but they should know how risky this is, and with a cat with a grenade, this actually could be very disastrous.
Initial damage from Shanghai landing. Dinner plate though from Flash K, and Shanghai gets a little bit over aggressive after getting those tags onto a card. He pushes down the hallway, gets caught by the dinner plate of Flash K. Has 2 nades as well, but Lulu closer than he realized, and the shotgun is obviously so prominent up close, so dangerous, and TMA have done a tremendous job in wiping out the Guangdong Freaks. They don't lose any members, but we immediately go to some more action here. Day trade with the bridge camp with the BBL.
Very fast rotation. A lot of damage, but no knock coming out for Day Trade. BBL are threading the needle just enough, but this is a really strong setup, and finally one does fall. Code marker goes down. Wow! All down to 1 HP, it looks like, so a lot of damage. And there it is! Another knock. They're going to have to extend a little bit to try and confirm this, but BBL are not going to be turning around.
Fendelos cannot turn around. He's got like 20 health, and the way the Day Trade is shooting right now, very much accurate. They will pick up those 2 kills. Obviously, Quetpa and then Code Marco. Really, really nice bridge camp from Day Trade when you take into account that northern circle. You do need to be largely successful when you're getting those bridge camps. So well done from Day Trade. 2 early kills for them.
Yeah, that's huge. BBL moving very, very fast off of the rotation. If you're as far from the circle as they are, usually teams take a long time to loot up, but they just wanted to go straight ahead, and Day Trade were right there. But look at this. Speaking of being right there, Hisaki, that's an easy shot.
That is a very easy in that shooting range position, though. Really nice from Hisaki to push a little bit north there for Cerberus, take a largely influential position on the board that is there, of course, for that phase 1 circle. Duck Mai makes his way back into the roster. No surprises there. He is the prominent member compared to Sololzi. He did get 1 day to have a little bit of fun to close out the group stage. Of course, Cerberus were largely locked in on day 3, but Duck Mai makes his way back in.
It's not just for fun. It's also for adding experience. And even though being the 5th man on the roster, you're on the bench majority of the time, you still want your 5th man to be almost as good as really everyone else.
Yeah, and obviously Sololzi, Duck Mai, they shared the duties in PCS 7 APAC. Brought that up obviously earlier on in the tournament, but obviously it has translated here to PGC. Na'Vi on the move. They'll go by Twisted Minds, who for the most part not too intrigued with rotating early here. They're actually just going to hold over towards School. And the Apps position with Lou there as well. But Na'Vi will be starting to make their way just to the east of Roshoff. By and large, though, the majority of teams have already gone north of the Roshoff River. They understand this kind of circle. You want to get into those positions early. There's honestly not too many compounds that are realistically there, so you want to try and acquire them as early as possible.
There's some good hills that you can utilize as well that, while not quite as impactful as some of those compounds, we saw an ending that started in a circle like this yesterday, that where individual compounds can be incredibly important. Hilltops can still be useful as well, but ultimately just finding that space, and especially if you're a team that starts around the midsection of the map, going north so you don't have to deal with the pressure from the south teams all coming into you, because a lot of them are going to be coming in from similar directives.
Well, this might be the first time in 5.5 minutes we might get a breather here, Cameron. You were talking to me off air before we were getting into the game, how like, well, let's have some fun with this today, of course. We want to enjoy the games, especially savor it, and then, of course, we've had one team eliminated, 7 deaths, a hectic start for the winners bracket. And by and large, remembering that it's only 10 games, you cannot afford to have these kind of matches too many more times. If you're the Guangdong Freaks, you have to probably give up military base off that one game.
Dynamo at the ready. They certainly hear the vehicles from Twisted Minds, but Twisted Minds with the standard rotation to avoid a camp off of that compound. I mean, Erangel especially has been in the scene for so long. There are these sort of standard rotations to avoid as much as possible, give you the opportunity to scout, especially if you have to make a rotation as risky as crossing any bridge. Na'Vi does push Tyloo away further towards the east into Yasnaya Fields.
Obviously for Na'Vi, what a tremendous day number 3 from them. I think going into the day, they weren't necessarily at danger of dropping out of the top 8, but they really wanted to solidify their position, so much so they ended up in first place. Not that first necessarily got them anything of value, but it was obviously probably a good feeling for them coming into the winners bracket to know what they're capable of at this tournament with this competition.
Confidence is such a strong asset to have in a game like PUBG, especially in any competition for sure, but especially in PUBG because there are always going to be things that are outside of your control and information that you are lacking. So to have the confidence to go for a fight without thinking, oh, what if there's someone here, what if there's someone there, what if there's a boogeyman in the closet? So heading into first, whether you're United, whether you're Na'Vi, I think it is going to have at least a soft advantage versus a team like Wildcard who just barely snuck into 8th.
Forest south of shooting range at the moment is heavily congested. We already have BBL, well, what's left of them, the remnants, Twisted Minds, Danoa, and Cerberus all in this vicinity. 2-2 split for Cerberus, 2 in the buildings. Then the Lost, I think, might have just lost his way because he's driving straight over towards Taisaki. Smash gets taken out by Taikon, quick headshot. He's no longer 10,000 in the Fantasy League. Of course, Taikon now about 28,000, and rightfully so. He had a tremendous group stage for Cerberus. They get 2 kills early on the board, and so far, it's a nice little start for APAC.
At the very least, Thunderlust got away. BBL just going to hope that the final remaining teammate can get some.
Сейчас играют, кто прошел 8 из команды А и 8 из команды Б. Я так понял. Кто прошел. Кто вчера он играл команда. И кто прошел до этого у нас. Мы также болеем, он наши Нави и Твист. Нави 9 место, пока что, а Твист на 13-м.
Stendalos continues to find his way into the action, but not on the right side of it. It's Lil Ghost that will pick up the final elimination of BBL. They are out in second last place.
8 команд будет в это забирать. 8 проходит точно.
That's what you're most likely aiming for after the 10 matches. So if you're TMA, you've already picked up 4 kills this game. You don't really need much more, so not too much of a worry that they're still on Sosnovka Island in the blue, rotating in late. They've already accumulated a large amount of the points required this game.
Yeah, but just in terms of general approach to a round, you obviously want to get as much out of it as possible because, yeah, they got the 4 at the top of this, but that 6 game is an average, and you don't know if you're going to have a 1 point, a 2 point. Even the best teams in the world will expect to have at least one of those a day, or prepare for it at the very least, and I'd prefer to see them get as much gear as possible, especially on a gear flush place as Sosnovka, take some meds, eat the blue in the first circle or 2.
Yeah, trying to see what is technically available still here phase 1. I think the petrol station might still be available from what I can see. Yahoo with a very intriguing 2-2 split compound at the bridge, and I think they've got the warehouse too. So very, very strong position with this phase 1 circle. It typically can sort of push over towards the northern side of that Yasnaya Pond, which is where No Lean compound with New Happy. I think that's a good spot too. If it does go shooting range way though, Cerberus with their split and the position they've got, I think is quite valuable. But they obviously did give up shooting range. It would have been too much, I think, position to try and take basically in the winners bracket. You just can't ask for too much.
Daytrade coming in, not that far ahead of TMA, but just as well behind the blue. They also took their time to loot up after camping that BBL rotation that they got a couple of kills off a couple of initial points. And this circle is going to center up, so very few teams are going to have to move, but that river still being in play is going to make things a little complicated, like especially for day trade. Are they going to try and make that send over the river now, or do they just hole up in Sunken City for in the meantime? You can see on the map, Overpeakers are trying to rotate down on the south side and committing to Rawzog, partly because that position just below Danawa might be a little too not concrete of a holding spot when the circle continues to stay on your position. There's a lot of opportunities for third party around that area, so they're trying to get just to a place of safety. United also looking for a similar spot to land.
And obviously we didn't get to do Group B, so this is, for me and you, the first time really up close and personal with United, but they were by far and large a really solid team from Group B, and I can't wait to see what they're able to achieve here in the winners bracket. They are somewhat close by to New Happy though. I don't think that they're going to be engaging with each other necessarily anytime soon, but it is something to keep an eye on depending on how United want to play this. Yahoo have actually taken the petrol station and the compound near that Yasnaya bridge, so they're still continuing to just try and take as much space as possible.
Tyloo here actually doing kind of the opposite of what we identified Overpeakers as doing, was where they going to send more people across the bridge. Now that Navi has backed away and now that Overpeakers have backed away, they can have a foothold on the north side, which is very, very likely going to be the prominent side, assuming we do not get a hard shift down towards the south. And they're just setting themselves up. The problem is you're going to have this question of like, we want to have a foothold on both sides, but by doing so, it's not going to be a very strong foothold either way.
Now, TMA's rotation here, they're coming into a largely vacant western side of the circle. Only necessarily Cerberus would be their closest competitor. They might even pick up a second crate here that's just sort of dropping down on the map now, although Day Trader kind of in that vicinity as well. Poochils, Flash, Belmoth are actually pushing over to that position, so I think this might be where TMA's little run might just have to be halted for a second, because Day Trade have spotted them.
Day Trade, I imagine they came here because they wanted the crate and they recognized that the west side was going to be completely free. It just so happens that they catch TMA rolling on in, and TMA, intelligently so, are going to back away. They don't want to contest this bridge cross. Poochil's angle is incredibly powerful, not to mention the two members that have just arrived there at Cube with Flash and Belmont. So they're going to go away, go through the Georgia Pole Bridge. Not the very long one, just the more shorter one here around Ice Cream.
Yeah, and as I said, that when they will be rotating back into the circle for the end of Phase 2, there's not really any teams contesting that position. Really, Cerberus are a little bit more towards the center, so that will be a pretty easy entry point for TMA on the western side coming in. No one will be gatekeeping them. 45 seconds until Phase 3, and I think a lot of teams are sitting eager, waiting to see what is going to eventuate, because it has started to really quiet down over the last 5 minutes.
We're about 30 seconds before Phase 3, and okay, wait, Helen. For a second, it looked like he was dangerously close to Navi, but though they've been neighbors for a while, and they're okay, just sharing space at least for now. Cerberus, though, they are continuing to maneuver around and expand their area around this hilltop. It's definitely what you want to do. The trees can block a lot of vision, and even though it's a very strong holding position, if this stays the center of the zone towards the late game, in the mid game, it's very easy to kind of lose track of where everyone else is. So I like how they're being active, being proactive, and checking out, but let's wait to see where Phase 3 goes. I like a lot of the positions of these teams to give themselves options moving forward, and it is going to be a medium shift towards the west side. Cerberus' position is going to be dead center. Are they going to continue to hold an extended position or try and condense down into one singular spot?
Yeah, and that's what I was saying for TMA. Look at that. They just get to walk straight in. They waltz in and say, we came from Sosnovka Island. Does not matter. They'll get a pretty decent position Phase 3 and can play off of that now on the edge. 17, we're holding a really decent split west of Severny into shooting range. They'll now be able to group up with Shao DD and Little Ghost. They'll still have a pretty solid position on the northern side, but pushing out of shooting range towards Cerberus can be quite difficult at times, but the question remains now, I think more so for the teams towards the northeastern side of that previous Phase 3 circle. It is going to be very difficult for them to make it into this current circle if they just go for a more direct route.
Overpeakers right now, or at least James is looking towards Twisted Minds, because again, they moved the majority of their team towards Rawzog. They have to make their way back over towards the north, and James is going to be a critical piece of that puzzle. A lot of the space on that river has already been taken. United, though, coming from a completely different angle. They got shifted off, and with that open space, they're going to have to thread the needle, as you say, through a number of different teams, and they might be lacking a little bit of information of where exactly is safe to go. I like how they're packed close enough together that when they do have to potentially send on to a fight, they're going to be able to support each other, but this is very, very well done. I think they caught one bullet for a Snaker specifically.
Yeah, Wildcard was taking a couple of shots, but they didn't really have the best kind of sight line. And Yahoo couldn't actually push over, because if they pushed over the ridge, then Wildcard would have been able to see them silhouetting. So they couldn't really punish E United either. That was just the perfect call from E United. They understood that they could just basically thread that needle there. They've got themselves a really good position here for phase 3, minute and 15 till phase 4. And Na'Vi making their move now. It's not quite going to be as clean though. See, on the Wizzy Tower Uber, well, with a bit of help from Mel as well, who did land some shots. They both combine, they get the knock. Sia down in the Wizzy Tower by himself.
That's absolutely crucial though, to get Sia down, because they know that New Happy is right behind them. And with Tyloo's spread, Sia was really the only main threat, just assuming that Na'Vi stay in this position and try and just keep.
Not New Happy right behind them though. And New Happy would have heard those shots, so Na'Vi's got to be careful that they don't loiter here, and it looks as if they do get caught. Nan, though, forced back. What a shot from Mel. Brings him down to 3 HP. Otherwise, I think Nan would have been able to get a knock and down from that. An example holding the door here, gets the knock onto HS, and Na'Vi are dealing with this pressure from New Happy behind them.
Okay, ZPN is also trying to roll on in. Example with a grenade at the Weddy, but going to be backing away. Catches ZP down to 60 HP, but the push is still going to come on through. Example is going to win that again.
Still more to come, but this is a strange push right now from New Happy. Example got one, couldn't quite get the second. Ming Ming stays alive. Yahoo are starting to third party. They're making their way over to see what they can quite catch for themselves, but it's not a full 4-man Yahoo, so they're probably a little bit apprehensive as to how they want to push into this. And Balefrost does get a knock onto Uber. Na'Vi having to deal with quite a lot right now, and then that circle shifting away from them. The nade pretty much successful onto Ming Ming, and they will deal with him. So New Happy are gone, eliminated 14th, but Yahoo are starting to threaten this position as well. CC will get rid of Clib. That's Overpeak has gone too. And suddenly, off the back of this phase 4 circle shift, everyone's starting to fight.
Down to 12 teams already quite early, but that just shows not only with the hot drops that we saw in the very beginning, but how everyone's fighting over these singular areas. Yahoo actually going to be pushing into Na'Vi. They see a weakened opposing team, and they don't care if it's against the direction of the zone. Fortunately for Na'Vi, Mel does get the opening knock against Sparking.
But he's the only one left alive. And he still needs to get 3 more. Well, that's a second down. Why not just go with the flush? Can't quite get it because Poonage turns around the corner and makes sure that that won't happen. So Na'Vi, 5 kills, good amount of damage, good game from them. You'll take that. That's one you can just sort of put in the back pocket and say, okay, 5 points gained, 9 games to go. You'll take that pretty much every game.
I really like that call from Yahoo to go and take that fight, mostly because it's not like they had a priority of a position towards the north side, because there really aren't that many positions, especially with that E United send that we saw just a few zones ago. QM coming in from the north side, Wildcard with a very nice spread up on the edge. Smoke's going to come out though. Looks like Dante might just be wanting to make this run into the building itself while Adam is at the ready.
Niku's firing shots at Yahoo, who have obviously turned their position now back towards the circle. And they are starting to enter into the territory of Wildcard, who on one side are dealing with question mark, now on the other side have to deal with Yahoo. So Wildcard now inadvertently are being pincered, and they've already lost, of course, Greg shot earlier in that shooting range at the beginning of the game. Nikus gets tagged. So Wildcard are just not in a position where they can have someone get knocked down. They need all 3 standing, and they need to ward off at least one of these 2 teams, and successfully. There's one of them gone. Question mark, go back up north. That is a huge reprieve for Wildcard. Now they can just deal with Yahoo. Suju, spray, not too bad. Gets them low. 17, of course, on the northern side coming out. Shooting range, wow, there's the drive-by. Gets the double onto Dante and Hobbits. They fall, question mark. Losing players pretty quickly here.
Yeah, moving away from Wildcard. I understand it was a necessity because of the blue, but again, with the amount of control that teams like 17 have been able to post up and hold for quite a while, it's going to be a brutal run, but now E United, heavy damage onto Yoho, Billfrost and Sparking down.
Yeah, they tried to get in and behind Wildcard, go for more so position, but question mark and also E United were already there. Phil first going to get knocked by Kickstart. It's all kicking off still in that area, but we go over to Twisted Minds, because down south, Tyloo Twisted Minds also doing battle. Then there's another battle as well with Danoa. Doozy and Phil first will go down to E United. Of course, they're still pretty happy with the way that they were able to put themselves into this position early at the start of Phase 3. We are now heading into Phase 5 as Yahoo are gone. Circle shift onto the compound of Tycon. He needs the rest of Cerberus to make their way over. They can play from that spot, and it's still a big one as well for E United.
Oh, Soul does go down, but Helen is able to get the revive on Salute at the very least. We've seen this before, Helen and a partner, and they have done some heavy, heavy damage, done a lot of good work. And with this shift, if they can control the remaining members of Twisted Minds and Tyloo down to their south, they are going to have a nice ridge to play up towards the north. That's Cerberus' position that you just recognized. Yep. Tycon did get the backup.
Yep. Himas, Hisaki making their way over, obviously along with Duckbite. So all 4 members for Cerberus have got the last major compound position. Spyro, now the last major member alive for Twisted Minds. They averaged 11 points a game, Cameron, through the first 10 matches of Group A. Just a 1 point gained in this one.
1 for now. Spyro could potentially take out those last remaining members of Tyloo Daytrade here on the west side. Backfilling behind TMA, who actually happened to get in front of them once Cerberus vacated this area. Oh, here's the spray down. The bike goes out, but Spyro can't land enough of the shots. No, they stopped. They stalled.
Landed the headshot, got them low, but it's actually Sol and Salute that will take those free prizes. A little bit of help from Spyro. They say thank you very much. 4 kills for Danawa. That goes a long way for them. As you mentioned before, we've seen such an amazing amount of games from Salute, Howland. Usually as a duo, the amount of points that they were able to, you know, basically grab for Danawa from losing positions was quite extraordinary. They are now at the moment sitting in that 2nd place position, tied with a couple of other teams, TMA 17. Early days though, but a good spot down south, and it's starting to now calm down a little bit. Why? Because we've got 8 teams remaining at the 21.5 minute mark, Cameron. An absolute bloodthirsty middle sector here for this first game.
Daytrade's approaching, the shots do come out. No knocks just yet, but heavy, heavy damage. Grenade follow-up should be doing the trick. That's 1 onto Flash. Norrens also got taken down to Salute. So Daytrade's approach here is not nearly as closed off, as safe as they were hoping.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the 2 star players, Flash, Norrens, further in front leading, but there wasn't much that they could get from Putils and Belmore. Further back, Yuppie gets down by Lil Ghost, 17. Starting to have a peek over and see what they can find here. Still a distance away up north, and by taking these shots and just kind of moving over in this position, it is allowing Wildcard into a rather safe position up north too. So something to keep note of going into phase 6. Wildcard and 17 getting closer to each other there on the map screen. You can see it because 17 has started to push over to third party from a distance. It has allowed Wildcard into that spot.
Puchos goes down. It's all into Belmoth. Last member up for Daytrade. Grenade at the ready. Looks good directionally, but a bit too far.
Yeah, it's not going to happen here. Too many members, but still from behind 17. They're just getting really greedy here, seeing what they can get. Salute, Crazy will split the bill onto Durance and Belmoth. 1 apiece. Nate goes out. That's well short. Not really close at all, but 17 Gaming have 4 alive. They have the power play here, while TMA are still just trying to heal up, trying to get their defensive smokes out. It's not really happening quick enough for them, and Shout High, Crazy are both going to go down simultaneously. Really good positions here from 17, and it's also quite fortunate. It's a wounded wildcard. It's a slow wildcard. You can see in the minimap, while they have been pushing over Cameron, not pushing over quick enough to third-party 17, so they are getting all these kills onto TMA for free for now, and then Danawa have pushed straight into E United. This south portion of the circle we haven't seen much of for a while. It's 3 kills really for E United. They got to 6 kills. TMA are gone. 5 teams remaining.
Wildcard approach onto 17. It was, as you mentioned, wasn't quick enough. 17 now can focus all their attention. I believe they know that they're coming. Xiao DD with a grenade at the ready. Peeks up, gets the spray down, takes a little bit.
Wow.
Can only get 1 before Adam trades it out.
Incredible job, though, because they were getting the revive. So it was a 2v3 momentarily in favor of Wildcard. Xiao DD and Show put on a show for 17. But obviously, surely you're going to see Cerberus push out. No, they don't. They fall back to the compound. So again, they get a reprieve here, 17. They're going to get the revive. They're going to have all 4 players alive.
The problem is they know that they're trying to overcommit onto 17. They could be giving up their compound to E United, who have just been trying to work the southeast edge for so long. Very good defense on them.
But E United are being shot at and tortured by Danawa. They're in shambles at the moment. They're getting revives. They're not really in a position. So that's for Cerberus to understand. The kill feed pushed out. Know that the other teams remaining are all wounded, fighting. This is your chance to spread out, get third parties in control. Instead, they go for defense. They stay in the compound. Will that come back to haunt them?
They have 4 up, and they have a very strong position in the zone. So at the very least, they haven't given anything up. Perhaps they've let an opportunity go by, but it's about keeping... It's an adage as old as time, or at least as old as this game is. Keep 4 up into the late game.
Yep.
So at the very least, they aren't giving that one up.
And we're starting to head into the latest of the late games, Phase 7 coming shortly. I imagine there will probably be some time now because 17 are actually rotating back north, down the hill somewhat. They have spotted E United, and the same can be said for E United spotting 17. And they did lose Flood, so Flood is eliminated. So E United down to 3, of course, while Cerberus 17, both full strength coming into this final fight. But a really, really big start from 17. That's 16 points already on the board. That is a huge amount for a 10-game bracket.
Circle closing. Phase 7. Slight preference towards E United, but with the amount of space that 17 have and show is just W-keying forward the second that phase revealed itself, that it's not going to be a heavy detriment to any of these teams. I actually, if there's one team that's at the downside, it's, I think, possibly Cerberus.
Depends on the way the 17 are playing is, and the way they are playing is they are pushing up to E United. So that is therefore not going to be the downside here for Cerberus, because I think they should be in a position by the end of this where they are third-partying, provided they push out, because you've got Sho and Suju both pushing out. You can see on the minimap they are very, very close now to E United. They've been able to push out, get the knock onto Kickstart, they'll eliminate him, and Cerberus are starting to push out down south, and I think they might even just run into Rallo and Snakers here.
United must know that this is happening. There's no way they expect a team like Cerberus especially to just be sitting in that compound and waiting things out. They need to know that there's got to be a team there on the south side. And they do stop before they run into the opposition. But at this moment, they have just got to be hoping and praying that the two full-strength teams somehow spot each other out, and they can then try and swing that into their advantage.
An incredibly mature performance from Cerberus. You know, for those that think that APAC's all about that sort of crazy aggression, that's not the case. For these top teams, at least it hasn't been probably for a good 12 to 16 months. They've started to grow, learn, adapt. You know, Cerberus evolved, maybe would have pushed out, got into those scrappy fights, and it might have cost them. Instead, they play the safe position, the defensive position. Can't fault it right now. I love this 2-2 split that they've got down south as well, making sure that no one can wrap in behind. They've had vision up over towards the northwestern side as well. They have a lot of intel, technically, but they haven't quite got probably the understanding of the way that 17 are positioned all the way out east.
Yeah, I'm seeing how they have a couple of members looking towards their west, and that to me shows that they don't exactly know that 17 did make that wrap over towards, they were on the west and then made their way back towards the east. So that's just sort of the downside of staying inside a compound like that. But the shots do come out. Snakers gets a knock on to show. It's going to slow 17's push just a little bit.
Yeah, and that's probably all it will be, a halting here of the momentum that 17 were building up. That's a great nade, by the way. I mean, in fairness, Rallo and Snakers not in a position as a duo to really push on that knock. There's not much they could realistically do. I should add, Shouty D holding up north as an anchor to make sure that Cerberus cannot wrap up on the north side and catch 17 from behind. So 17 right now are feeling quite confident that they can't get third-partied.
They hear the grenades, Cerberus, and now they want to come in onto this. United looks like they might be pushing forward, but then they hear grenades, they have to fall back. There's really not much space for them to move at all. They have two giants on both sides of them.
Here come Tycon and Himas though for Cerberus. Shots in the back onto Snakers. He repositions, he stays alive. The nades have gone out from Cerberus, but largely unsuccessful so far. This could be two big points for Cerberus. They need as many points as they can probably get early on, especially since 17 are already just soaking up the points from this game. 12 kills, looking for 14. Rallo got knocked, looking to get now finished off by Sho. Cerberus need to get involved here. I think they've got to pull all of their members over to this and take the fight with 17 while they are scrappy.
But Cerberus know that Shouty D is towards the north.
Tycon, massive.
United do go down. Well, and that's a huge knock, but it's a good counter by Little Ghost. 3 on 3 at the moment.
Big spray, and Shouty D catches Hisaki. Big shot from Shouty D. He catches Hisaki down south, but it does give away his position to Duckmai. Duckmai gets him to half health, but goes prone. Himas and Hisaki down. It's a 1-1 split now for Cerberus, and Duckmai is down for the count. He will not get revived. Tycon, though, will stick this one, and it is successful onto Himas. The two best fraggers for Cerberus are still up. They will not get Hisaki, though. He is gone. It's a 2 versus 3. Tycon, the 18-year-old prodigy from APAC, big down onto Suju. Now it's a 2 versus 2.
Trades back and forth, smoke grenades thrown back and forth on both sides. Duckmai has been confirmed, so he cannot give any more information over. But the 2 versus 2, Tycon is pushing forward. He wants to go aggressive onto this. He finds Low Ghost.
He can get the second one as well. Tycon can now confirm this for 17. Shouty D at the tree. They should have this information as well from Duckmai earlier. He did get flushed, but by and large, they should know where he is, and they do. They know he's at the tree. Oh, Tycon, the future of PUBG from Vietnam, from APAC, is showing up. Oh, he's just walked back into the Molotov, though. What a molly from Shouty D. Now it well and truly is all up to Tycon.
But does he know that Tycon is on the left side? He's still peeking the right side of the tree. At some point, he has to check the other angle, and Tycon is going aggressive, but perhaps not aggressive enough. DD closes Himas.
He has been waiting for this moment for years. He joined Cerberus at 15 years of age. He has been sitting and waiting in the wings for this very moment to put his team on the map, his country on the map. At PGC in the winners bracket, it's down to Tycon versus Shouty D of 17 Gaming, who have by and large already collected a huge amount of points.
Oh, they're looking at each other. DD taken down very, very low, but Tycon can just hold strong. He has priority over the center of the circle, but he's actually moving away. He wants to keep Shouty D guessing.
Loot. He can get some loot here. He's got a couple of smokes, but no nades, no mollies to flush him away from that tree. I think he goes scrambling. He also changes up that position, and now Shouty D has to start guessing again. Tycon, what a spray! Oh, that's Vietnam! That's APAC! That is one of the best players that we've got going around! Tycon! Well done!
To be a rookie and have the wherewithal and the confidence to not just hold on to the tree and actually leave and back away, to find an angle, to have that confidence, to not freeze up. Amazing play there at the end.
Considering his age, considering the lack of experience at this kind of level, Cameron, it is such a moment for just himself, but also for his team. APAC, usually ridiculed, usually given no chance at the global stage. No more. Well, we're here, baby. We're making noise.
You also have to give them the 17, though. What a strong run by them as well. Getting a huge number of kills, even if they couldn't confirm that final kill on Tycon for the win. Both these teams got a massive amount of points. And again, 10 rounds for the winner's bracket. Every single round counts.
I did say at the end of group stage A, Cameron, he was 10,000 on the fantasy team, that he will go up and that you should stick with him. And what does he do? 6 kills, the win. That is a huge amount of points for those that still had faith that he will be able to do it in the winner's bracket. An incredible moment. And the dream start for Cerberus. They could not have asked for a better start. And guess what? Couldn't have asked for a better desk.
You're right, we are the best. Thank you very much. But you know who are better? It's Cerberus getting that win here for the first game in the winners bracket. What a win as well. Down to a 1v1. And Tycon, the sub, was absolutely clutch in these finals. I love the relocate here, Toby, to get themselves the victory.
Oh no, I mean, in that end game, there's a good 50-50 at who comes out victorious. And with every single move that Tycon makes, actively just pushing the winning chances towards him. Very smart utility usage and very smart usage to ring.
Definitely so. Let's take a look back at this game and see how things played out. Of course, we brought it up whilst we were talking backstage here, Martin. KDF kind of has to relocate, but you think there's a decent answer anyway?
Yeah, for sure. Freaks want to go to Saki, and unfortunately the plane path didn't allow them here for Northern Circles. Well, they would have been perfect for them, but it didn't work out. Cerberus, fantastic game for them, though. What a push in the end. Like, the way that he utilized that lower ground and constantly, every time he got spotted, constantly relocated. That was super well executed. But 17 Gaming, guys, for me here, what an insane start. They had so many team wipes, and the amount of points they're going to get, they're easily going to take over Cerberus in total points from this game alone.
And the way that they set up on the north side, come phase 2, they have full control of everything that is north of shooting range. And then they just slowly push in, as you're saying, massive edge control play coming through to the forest in the southern side. And almost the 17 kill win for them.
An interesting dynamic towards the end as well here with 17 wrapping all the way around, not really wanting to fall into the trap of what Cerberus was kind of laying down. Then eventually forces that fight here against United, and you know, that third party eventually kind of comes here, Avenger.
Yeah, United was in the unfortunate middle of a third-party sandwich, and they got kind of pulled up on a few times in the situations where it's like, couldn't really do too much other thing than just hide by those couple of rocks there. They didn't have their backs free and their third party multiple times. So 22 points here for 17 game, James.
Definitely so. Here the points rolling on in. Cerberus does get the victory, but as you say, 17 was blasting here, Toby. It was what a game by them here. That is huge points, and again in this lobby, it's so important because of the strength of the lobby in general.
Exactly, a confidence booster right when you need it, right, to kick things off. They were taking fights head-to-head with pretty much everyone they could. Their timings on the third-party engagements and some of the different fights they took, especially up towards the compound on the hillside, absolutely perfect. And the fact that they come into the very final fight without any casualties off of all of that, that is insane.
Icon with 7. That's hero mode, Avenger.
It is. It's set to hero. Fantastic for Tygon. And to think that he was a sub for the group stage and Twire and the fantasy team, that's just insane. Not this time round, though. He was expensive. He was actually so expensive. I was like, that's not even, I'm not even going to consider him.
Yeah.
But Tygon here, of course, big efficiency on the ratio as well. 7 kills, 727 damage. I'm loving what I'm seeing from them. And also, again, hypothetical cutoff, 22 points for 17 gaming here. We're talking 65 points, maybe 70 is going to be our top 8 cutoff. So already getting a third of that now is insane.
Yeah, definitely so. Let's take a look at the numbers overall here. Little Ghost putting in work like so with Shouty D. Other things I want to talk about though are E United, obviously, you know, for the most part, they had decent circle advantage here during all this. But Dynamo also getting 4th place. I feel like, I've said it many times, they're always perpetually 4th or 5th all the time, every tournament forever.
I mean, they had the same fight that was happening on the northern side of the circle. It just took place earlier in the game. You have Na'Vi down there, you have Overpeakers down there, a big cluster of teams having to make their way north of the river. Dynamo, the only team to come out victorious. And then when you have E United sat in position by the rocks there, because they're so active in containing other teams, they know that eventually, well, we didn't get that knock we needed, we're just going to sit.
And coming in from that southeastern side is so rough because you have this high 3-star, it's overlooking everything, and if you don't control that compound, you're going to be pincered, you're going to be pushed away from him. That's also why we saw the fight with Twisted Minds in the case where they were in a rough 2-2 split. Dynamo came into that. So in general, where E United ended up coming in from further kind of on the north side, they actually had full control of that big ridge where they ended up eventually ending up dying on as well.
That is Erangel number 1 in the book. Cerberus get it. I feel like we've had an abnormal amount of these north circles in Erangel lately. It's been
better than all the east circles constantly.
That is true. Yes, I don't mind these whatsoever, but it does then, bearing that in mind, feel like these teams have had some warm-up into this one, be it the rotations that they make from far south locations, etc. But Cerberus overall, what a start for them. Imagine at the end of this, if we're saying APAC is your champion. That would be fantastic.
That'd be a surprise to me coming into this tournament. But now I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't be that surprised because the way they've been playing has been absolutely phenomenal. I must admit, though, I was a little bit worried seeing how passive they were once the fight took place between TMA and 17 up on the west hillside. I was like, this is a perfect opportunity for you to clear out literally half the circle and take full control of there. They didn't. They opted to stay passive with 2 players split off down the southern side. But I think it's because they were worried that maybe United were going to try and make an aggressive play towards the compound as well.
Potentially.
They wanted to be the third-party factor rather than be the engager, right? You have such a higher chance of winning the game if you're the one to third-party rather than it's you and your opponent being third-party. Looking good for Cerberus, though, in the start here, and even with this here, the momentum that you're going to... It's just 10 games, right, guys? So even the momentum in a good start like this, you're going to push it straight into the rest of the games of the day.
I mean, something like 22 points, for example, for 17 in one game across a 10-game series like this, that's potentially halfway, 2/3 of the... 1/3 of the way to kind of getting yourself a qualification in the top 8 spot. So that is going to be a massive boost for 17 Gaming. And as Martin has already said here, Toby, with the fact that they have Pachinki Picardo, there's no way 17's not going to make it.
I will almost already say, I mean, they're going to make it. Like, they started like this, they have Pachinki Picardo, like, it's just too strong.
I mean, once they got the ball rolling yesterday in Group B, we saw how quickly they just skyrocketed up the leaderboard. Because 17 don't win quiet games. They don't get, like, 3-kill games. They come out in double digits. They come out swinging. They do so here to kick things off as well, and I don't see them stopping before this is over.
Coincidentally, though, for E United in this game, I feel like they're not normally playing quiet games, but this one was kind of a quiet game compared to their usual.
And I think a big part of that is because that Cerberus push never happened. They were ready for the Dynamo push, they take them out, then they have one player left that they need to worry about because they can never play backstreet. But because Cerberus never committed to either 17 or to take the fight to United, they're like, we really want to make a play, but no one's doing anything. What are we waiting? Like, guys, just go out and do something because they couldn't make the first play from that position.
The problem, so to say, is also once you've already lost 1 or 2 players and you're in the situation where you're the center of the circle, you're getting these circles, you can't really make aggressive moves. You kind of want to just honk it down and hold on to that circle so you can survive for as long as possible. Also because they knew they cannot push north side along the ridge because then they're going to get backfilled. So they had to kind of defend that same area where they had those 2 hard cover positions with those 2 rocks and a few cars. Also, they killed Danova there earlier, so you have kind of unlimited extra utility in terms of smokes, and also refresh your armors and helmets if you need to too.
Great use of the map knowledge as well. Good topography to be able to hold down on, considering you don't have a compound, you don't have anything, but you have a great ridgeline to work with. Na'Vi had some scuffles in this game.
There were some fights early on. I think we went for quite a few of the teams. We saw BBL, I mean, rotating from Melee Island. They made it to Severny, kudos, but I don't think they ever actually got to loot, and also they all died on their first rotation. So a lot of teams in some earlier than usually expected kind of skirmishes.
For BBL, I would really reconsider them looting kind of West Melee, because I feel like from what we've seen so far, I think it's going to be rough crossing the bridges. I think it's going to be rough with the aggression that we've seen so far, especially here for Take Me Away. And in general, Freaks probably not going to come back, or they could be, if I was a Freaks shoes, I would be looting West Melee as your alt drop instead of contesting Take Me Away. It's just not worth it at this point.
There has to be a solution in just a best of 10. You can't kind of beat your head against a wall constantly at a stage of a tournament like this, I think it's fair to say.
Definitely. Tyloo we're seeing here as well, again, part of the southern cluster of all the teams that try to get out of the Rossock and cross the river. They took out Overpeakers in the blink of an eye. Once that fight started, you saw boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden, all of Overpeakers dead. A team who has been going up against the likes of Tyloo for quite a big part of the tournament so far. So even though they go out with only those 4 points, being able to take out one of the top prospects out of EMEA like that, that's pretty damn impressive.
I mean, I can see a world where we get quite a few China wins on a board like this. When you've got teams like Tyloo, when you've got teams like 17, Martin, they're coming with power.
Yeah, and New Happy as well.
New Happy as well. Let's see how all of those fare. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Time now to head over to the commentators here for game number 2. It's the winners bracket. Let's head to Erangel.
Well, it feels like already a third of the way there for our winners. Well, and also our second place team, 17. Both of them are basically a third of the way there already. Of course, just the 10 matches here for the winners bracket. Both playing like winners in that first game. Of course, Tyke on 7 kills, Shouty D 6 kills. And it came down to that little final standoff between the two of them. But yeah, 17 on top, 22 points. We estimate the cutoff will probably be around 60, so a really, really big start.
You want to get higher than 60 to be comfortable, but 60 might just be that, like, 60, 61 ish or so. We do see off the playing path, very similar to the playing path, that KDF are, intelligently enough, not going to be attempting the hot drop. They're going to be going over to Novo, which in this circle is free. Wildcard do go there, but here they're going to be going back over to Severny once again. And we might have a significantly slower early game this time around.
Well, that was the estimation, though, for the Guangdong Freaks and either or TMA. I don't think anyone actually expected that hot drop to take place from what I was discussing with some of the players as well. It was something that may happen, and in the end, obviously, did happen. But what we've got in this game is probably what I expected to happen. And obviously for the Guangdong Freaks, somewhat of a wasted first game, but they were a team that actually came home strong in Group A. They were not necessarily at the top at the start. They kind of got better as the tournament went on. They will have to do something similar here, of course. Still 9 games to go, and there's no team feeling too reprieved from that first game. Now the Northern Circle, even James mentioned it on the desk. We go north once again. There's some nice shots from Sol, but not going to find the knock. Still enough to probably put the fear of God into Spyro there. Would have been horrible sinking feeling had he gone down. But survives, makes it over to Apps. Obviously, they'll all have to make their way up north once again.
Yeah, again, another Northern Circle in a row. This one a little bit different, a little bit towards the east, which actually makes the options even fewer than the previous game, especially because we're not going to be losing KDF right off the bat. More teams to arrive on, and BBL as well probably have learned from that previous day trade bridge camp. United here going over towards their traditional home, at least in their own region of Built to Power. And this is going to be an easy rotate for them. They just got to drive north. Just go north on the east coast. Relatively straightforward.
I think a bit more of a guessing game with this kind of circle as well. It can still go south. I think yesterday we saw it go to those Yasnaya fields, away from the more northern section of, say, the Yasnaya Pond or Stalba, which obviously we had a couple of those in Group A. One even going on top of Stalba all the way even over towards Kameshki. I'm not sensing that will happen with this one, but there is that kind of guessing game. Does it go north? Does it go south? That's going to be a big factor that we've got early on. Phase 1, then into phase 2. Something to keep in mind.
Hello?
Dong's waiting at the bus stop. I don't think there's going to be a bus on the way, though.
Yeah, I don't know what schedule he's on. He needs to update that. We got about 2 days before the next schedule or arrival. He's able to break away from that. He has gear, so I guess that just shows how interesting is a nice PR spin of the way to describe that area of the map with how there's compounds sort of spread, and every single time you have two teams loot, ferry, and farm separately, where is that line of scrimmage really and truly drawn?
Yep. 17 Gaming, perfect start, 22 points. Well, they didn't get the win, second place, and I believe it was about 16 kills, obviously, so that is quite scary. That's a statement that was made in the first game, Cameron, from 17 Gaming, what they're going to be able to do with these cheeky Ricardo positions as well in this group, and just the sheer firepower that they have, and to think that they've got a sub. It was mentioned on the desk that by this point, though, I think the sub, it's not an excuse, but the sub factor is probably worn off now, well integrated into the team, obviously, and has been part of the team for quite some time, and has now been able to have a bit of time at the top level.
BBL don't want to play around with day trade at all, so instead they're going over towards this east bridge where KDF, Lisa Cod is trying to push on through. Not exactly sure what information KDF have, but looking at Akkad's direction of the rotation, likely knows that BBL have now sort of looped in front of them.
Yeah, it's an intriguing one, isn't it? BBL obviously now conscious that day trade will be camping that bridge on the lighthouse side. So what do? They go over Milt's bridge and try and camp out KDF and potentially TMA. You can actually even maybe get a 2-for-1 here. Obviously for BBL, they lost 2 players in the last game from that cross of the bridge.
And then everyone else on the continued rotation.
Yes. They haven't quite got their feet set.
Oh my god, wait, that's Quepa. Like actually behind KDF on the high ground on radio tower. Okay, KDF don't have nearly as much information as I thought because Code Marco just peeks out, catches Akari.
Only one for now, and only Hikari to get eliminated, and obviously all the information now gained for the Guangdong Freaks, but they will not be aware of Quepa's position on the road leading up to Radio Tower, and obviously as we can see, he has eyes on Akkad, he has information that he can convey to the rest of his team. But for the Guangdong Freaks, I probably sense they won't be looking to cross that bridge for a bit of time. TMA, though, will eventually be making their way over to this position in due time. They're only just now leaving military base, so it's about to get very dicey here. And here comes Quepa coming down the hill. Is this a mistake? Because instantly eliminated by End. He's just sent it into Crossroads. He gets punished.
That's an ambitious push there. I don't know what they thought they'd get out of it for BBL.
Oh, what are they doing?
BBL, they want to close this quickly, but they don't want them to be in the blue while they take this fight. But by doing so, they're putting themselves in a very disadvantageous push against KDF.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit confusing at the moment, the way that BBL are playing this one. And Ian, Guangdong Freaks, they are rightfully punishing them. Then the loss down on the backside. Oh, that's just too easy. Smash gone. Only one left. Well, I mean, BBL have been smashed here. Code Marco still on the beach. What a misplay from BBL after, honestly, a pretty decent move from them. TMA have made their way up to the radio tower, but Crazy got knocked down straight away. Good shots onto Akkad, but the Guangdong Freaks have done well, all things considered, after losing Hikari. They were able to obviously pick up some decent points against BBL. That's now all 3 confirmed. Obviously still Code Marco alive. Now they'll have to turn their attentions to TMA.
Again, this is a very, very weird fight to be having this early on in relation to where Circle 1 is. Speaking of which, Cerberus shacking up in Severny with 17 rotating, a couple different angles around them.
Yeah.
Little Ghost does make his way past, doesn't get caught off, and now they're actually on multiple sides.
We didn't quite get to see it because we were watching that fight down on Sosnovka Island, but out of Pachinki, up on the western side, going even north of shooting range, went into Severny. Intriguing rotation from 17, but I think getting the sense that from the last game, west side clear. Let's repeat that, most likely with this eastern circle. Eastern side will be a little bit more congested, so really smart rotating from 17 so far. We saw it in the last game, we see it again here, and consistency is obviously key.
Helen as well got a lock onto Tulin as they tried to cross over the bridge. Lou is rotating up. The question is, do they want to go and actually try and revive? Well, spotting Lambu push up like this to confirm this kill.
Oh no.
Oh! Oh, lands the final shot to make it a trade. Helen didn't have the angle.
Как залетает. Видите, где иксок, а он вообще другой стороной боковой какой-то стрелял по нему.
Were basically doing to most of Group A, taking these fights, hitting these shots that were really precise, clean, with the aggression that they were putting out onto the lobby. But that first game, not quite what we saw from them in the Group A. This is a little bit more their style, hitting these kind of shots with this kind of pressure on. Holding this bridge at the moment. Helen, of course, did get tagged, but has been able to heal back up, hold that roof position. Here comes Sol and Salute. They're just going to send it in, obviously wanting to get the revive on the Lambu. So one can go for the revive, one can then try and hold a more forward position. Salute's going to be careful, though. He is giving Perfectix a chance. But Flash, Daytrade, they've also got an angle on this. The Twisted Mind's in a very precarious position.
We're still seeing a lot of fighting in the early game, like we saw the previous round. Not hot drops or not, this just shows how much is on the line for these teams, and they know that they need to be on the more proactive side. Lou's grenade is proactive, finds two. Salute down to 10 HP as well.
He's pushing, they know they've got them on the ropes here. Danawa, they were trying to just escape, they were trying to get out of here, but Tulins didn't quite get the elimination onto Salute. Doesn't matter because Lou's there as well to finish off his own handiwork. Howling could just sit there on the roof and watch. Danawa have been able to collect points in solos and duos, but it's a very early solo for Hallen, and they know his location. It's probably time to get out of here, get out of this position. But for Danawa, they get punished by Twisted Minds. What a grenade from Lou.
Man, the amount, how comfortable Spyro has been camping on that rooftop. I wouldn't be surprised if he had an entire tent, a stove with him, space heaters, glamping at this point, because he is just comfortable holding down the angles that he needs to onto Helen, but even just other members of Danawa to allow the rest of Twisted Minds to push over and regain control.
Now, a little update in that crossroads position in Sosnovka Island, but Guangdong Freaks are still there. They have not moved. You can't even see them on the map, but what you can see is Take Me Away Gaming starting to make their way out. They actually rotated over to the Lighthouse Bridge, and they're now pushing their way up north. But Code Marco's still at the bridge, he's still there, and the Guangdong Freaks are still there as well. They've not moved. Circle will kind of centers up a little bit more to the western side and probably eliminates Stelba and most likely gets rid of the Yasnaya region. So it does mean positions the compound really that Twisted Minds are about to get from Helen. Pretty decent spot for them. They don't have to really do much more with this kind of circle. Code Marco has been waiting for this revenge moment for quite some time, deep in the blue. The nade is not too bad, but it's not enough to get any sort of knock onto the Guangdong Freaks, who will just keep on driving by. That grenade's not going to find the target, and the Freaks will get away from Code Marco and say, see you later, mate. Enjoy the blue.
Not quite yet. He still has the mark. But yeah, he's not going to commit to this. He knows that he needs to survive. BBL going out with 0 points the previous game. He needs to try and find something and survive as long as possible, even if it's 2, even if it's 3, because they are going to be struggling to make their way into that bubble. And if they were to lose out because Code Marco, I guess, threw his life away so easily right now, granted, you could blame the rest of the team for throwing their life away with that push on a KDF, but you know what? Let's not talk about that.
Great spot for Overpeakers, who were, I would say, the most aggressive team that we've had in the competition so far in Group A, especially over the first 2 days. Cameron, they did reel it in a little bit on day 3, but they had already solidified their position into the winner's bracket. And yeah, haven't really seen much of them at the moment last plays. Doesn't really matter, it's the second game. But more so just mentioning the fact that we just haven't really seen them. And in this kind of game, at that kind of compound, you're probably not going to see much of them anyway.
Yeah, again, a lot of open space around this area of the map. I mean, Jeeves does find the angle, but it's going to be an angle of Alia sort of just sitting out in the open.
That's the benefit, though, of pushing out slightly. It doesn't have to be, taking too much space, but just enough where it's like, okay, we've got the compound. We don't have to sit necessarily inside of it. We can push out a little bit. We can see if we can find these kind of angles, and that's the benefit there for James. He finds that kill, takes a player away from Na'Vi, direct rival. But here comes Yahoo onto the 2-2 split of 17. Suju and Lil Ghost need to be aware of this, and they are. Look how quick they are to react. 17 are on their game right now. They are going to be a formidable opponent for all of these teams in the winner's bracket. They do not even give Yahoo a chance, and still they land a headshot, and still Yahoo doing an okay job at least to try and get a knock here. But I think they've gotten away.
Close, but yeah, they are able to make their way out. Instantaneous decision to leave not just one vehicle. It was an entire Lion King wildebeest running down the ridgeline that your host showed and presented to 17. They're not going to hold and fight. That is way too early to make that sort of gamble, risky play. TMA arrived at the zone, crossed the bridge. Daytrade right below them. Belmont is already moving towards the north. Potentially hurt the vehicles. Either way, TMA are able to pit themselves in a solid position as we wait for phase 2 to close.
Yeah, an interesting 2-1-1 split there for Day Trade. I don't necessarily mind it. Flash Puccio is probably the more prominent position closer to center. But then having the two players back, being able to sort of watch for those teams looking to backfill in, take those southwestern positions, aka TMA, can give them that information. But you've got to be careful that if TMA get aggressive, they spot that solo, they push, it can be a very quick elimination. So we'll see what happens there. But TMA have halted for the time being, probably waiting to see what happens here for phase 3. But you can kind of see there, Day Trade, that is a lot of space being taken from them. Obviously, they've got that petrol station there. Phase 3, though, where does this one go? Who is quite the team to be fortunate here in match number 2 of the winners bracket? It goes to the north side. That's pretty good for QM. Obviously, Overpeakers will go back to their position. I like the split 2 for wildcard. And 17 will probably be quite happy with the northern split here and be able to play edge on the north side.
Navi with some shots, Twisted Minds pushing on in, but it seems to be all in one singular vehicle. It's going to be an aggressive send, and that's a grenade at the ready for Helen. In the position that Helen is at, he knows that he's likely to have to defend against a potential push.
This is a very dangerous position for wildcard, the warehouse. It can get crashed so easily from both sides. They do not have Waiki, Kamukau, and Nikus watching the backside of this warehouse. This is going to allow Cerberus to basically pull up, and I like this play. This is smart. Great shot, Adam, pull back. They give up the warehouse, and that is probably one of the smartest plays that wildcard could do. Prefer the compound over the warehouse. The warehouse is so susceptible to crashes. You're just constantly fighting. It's so difficult to hold that. Really, really intelligent from wildcard.
Twisted Minds now, they did roll up into Helen's position. Helen has a couple of grenades. It pushes Twisted Minds at least a little bit away. I don't think that they're going to be comfortable with the information that they have in order to try and make an aggressive re-maneuver back on that spot. So Twisted Minds holding into that small little dip for now. But we'll see if that gets punished by high ground later on in the round. TMA now moving a little more towards the north, coming in into 17's area of the edge.
Но, скорее всего, они сейчас будут вот так чисто смотреть на него, чтобы кто-то подошел и ёбнул их. Ждем, смотрим.
I think TMA just got the sense that they're going to have to play western side, which has already shown in this lobby to be a little bit more open. Helen has been eliminated, and guess by who? Lou has wiped all 4 members of Danawa. He got all 4 of them himself. Very greedy from Lou. But obviously Twisted Minds won't mind. They'll take the points, and they'll be very happy with his individual performance. And Xiao Yang pushing up for Tai Lu, and he gets close to Example, but fortunately for Example, he has the tree for cover.
Grenade comes out. Example falls away from this one. They've already lost 1 member, so they're still playing as 3.
Navi.
Just gotta be really careful about spacing. Grenade comes in. Simple down to 73. He's gonna be pulling even further back. Might just want to give that space up, especially because they might be aware that Day Trade are going to be right behind Tai Lu, so no real reason to try and overcommit onto this. At this point in the game, it's not so much about getting kills, even though that is nice. It's more just about whittling down your enemy, so you can then have better, proper maneuvers into the mid lane.
Much rather Mal getting those long-range tags, as I said, whittle them down a little bit, and then if Tai Lu continue to push, Example and Uber can play the crossfire a little bit better, rather than basically a solo pushing out as the solo man up front. 10 more seconds until phase 4. Day Trade getting involved with this as well. So a bit of a pincer has now actually happened onto Tyler. Look at that map. They are surrounded by all sides. They have to fight their way out of this position, either through Na'Vi or Day Trade. And we continue to go up north. That is 2 shifts onto the northern side, back to back. Flash will get the knockdown onto Tongs. Tyler are really feeling the pressure down south.
Wildcard are loving the circle shift. E United especially are going to be loving the circle shift. In fact, they're defending a push from KDF. Flood already gets 1 knock.
Snakers as well. I mean, E United playing the gatekeep role against the Guangdong Freaks really successfully. Kickstart and Flood will still hold the blue, knowing Lash K's a bit further afield. Obviously for Snakers and Rallo to have to wonder about position now, especially on this northern side where it is really open. That is a wonderful nade, and it will get the job done. Uber
steals 1 kill, gets another knock as well. And they're going to want to close this up as quickly as they can because of the hard shift against them, but they can't go too aggressive with it. They don't want to pull a BBL. They want to make sure that it's nice and clean and controlled before they then push into the south side.
There's a push though, Mal getting close to Balmor, so this is going to be a bit of a free-for-all down to the south. Na'Vi still have to contest with Day Trade as well in this vicinity. Nuris is not big-time play for Day Trade. Puchils would love to get that revive, but I just don't think they have the time and space to do so. Uber wants to play the Rock deep in the blue, expecting them to push out. Being pushed now onto United from QM. United do still have the numbers to salvage this flood. Kickstart Snake is all still up. Only Rollo got knocked down, and they got at least one there into QM. They're gone. Not a bad effort from United. Question mark go down into last while United rise up the standings.
Well, they have another knock against Flood. However, Yoho are going to continue to push on this. It's an easy decision to make if you're Yoho. Find the angle, they spot Snakers, couple of shots in return. They might not be aware Kickstart's swing down to the other side. He is going to pounce, gets a couple of shots, but again, no knock.
But enough to push Shimboy back. That's the main thing. They cannot get Flood back out though. Big name from Sparking, and a really good job to confirm that kill. If Flood had been able to get revived, a full strength United really would have been able to thwart Yahoo, considering they don't have Punich there with them. He's further back, holding the compound up north, making sure 17 can't wrap him behind them. So really good pressure in this 3-1 push from Yahoo. But, and especially considering now for United just down to the 2 players.
Yeah, the advantage that United, I was hoping that they would have there on the east side would be the high ground, and we know how much they love to farm damage and kills from a position like that. But QM's push, Yahoo's push, they weren't able to hold on to it as strongly as they would have liked to, so instead it's going to be another send towards the center. New Happy have a similar high ground position, though. They're a little more in control of their current spot.
It was all a bit too much at once for United. Gatekeeping Guangdong Freaks, then they obviously had QM push on them, and then Yahoo, all in the space of about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and obviously faltering. But even still, 5 kills, still 2 players alive. You're getting points on the regular from the first 2 games played. That's really all you can ask for is consistency. They've done it so far. I think Yahoo, though, are going to be able to finish them off. Snake is caught at the tree. Molotov really well placed from Shimboy. They will get that knock. Kickstart, of course, as you mentioned, did push forward a little bit, so he can now play as a solo from here, go for a rank tank, see what he can do.
Нормально, так они идут.
Yeah, especially with the Eastern shift like this. He has a little bit of protection with the car and the vehicle, making a sandwich of himself. Now Yahoo, they are going to be realizing, almost like United did, that their position, despite being on the high ground, might not be as strong as they would have hoped. We see an angle from 17 shots at long range up there, and the New Happy, of course, are going to be waiting for someone to silhouette over on their north side.
I love New Happy's position, though. They cannot really get pushed from... I mean, technically, Yahoo could push over onto them. That is something that could eventuate, but I think Yahoo will be very precarious of making sure that 17 can't push behind them on the north side. So I think they would rather hold north. That means that New Happy just have to worry about the teams coming from the south side. So they don't have to move too much.
TMA, they have to move a lot. While we're talking a little bit about the teams that are in the zone in Phase 5, the teams outside, it's wide open sends into the few compounds that are already there and already held. So TMA, they need to go on and push onto 17. Similar situation, now they get eliminated by Cerberus' own send.
That was the solo there from Uber pushing for the blue. So good spray, successful onto Lulu always. But Xiao DD gets knocked by Xiao High. Yuppie with the rock as well. What spray onto Show. The transfer's pretty decent as well onto Suju. Lil Ghost is still alive and he will be the last one standing now. Crazy. He gets taken down by the blue. So Yuppie and Xiao High, who just got off that first aid kit and is still trying to heal on up. There goes 17 gaming. A massive game number 1, but only 2 points gained from match number 2.
TMA are coming out with some huge numbers. 2 games in a row coming away from the opposite side of where Circle 1 was, and they are prepared to fight every single time.
Very interesting fight here. Compound not in the circle. Minute left. This has to be quick from both teams. Haisaki pushes up. Adam with a good tag. The nade from Haisaki. Knocks himself down. He couldn't get it in through the window. Himas and Taikon. Last 2 up. Taikon, though, no longer. Big nades from Wanka, Kamukau, and Nikus is very successful. Adam wanted to push out with the DBS, but guess what? They're all gone. Patulans will finish them off for Twisted Mind. Cerberus, like 17, big game 1, but have faulted in game 2.
Good hold by Wildcard, helped by Cerberus' own unforced errors, but now the question is, where can they go? They held off the backfill, they held off the push, but everywhere else in the open is, in the circle is out in the open.
And I was going to say, are they aware of TMA in the blue? Well, guess what? The kill feed says yes, because Craigshot got the kill into Yuppie. Free pick up there for Wildcard. Kickstart just trying to stay alive. James says no, but Kickstart says doesn't matter. I already got to play some point. Job done for Kickstart at the very least. Adam will get rid of Xiao High, so 2 free kills for Wildcard. But here come Yahoo. Look at the space that Yahoo have. They are the kings of the north at the moment.
Well, there's nothing else there, so they can have those great, grand lines of sight between Belfrost with the covering fire on the opposite side of the zone.
Одна у нас команда
even
осталась,
Sparking in a
Twist.
vehicle is trying to push. Sparking
Пока,
wants
ну,
to
у
get
них тоже
involved.
что-то
He's
все не
that thirsty
густо.
for a fight, that's thirsty for a kill.
Well, the Northmen have to now come down south over towards New Happy, along with Overpeakers, who have a very, very nice 2-2 split, controlling a lot of this basic circle. Shots now back and forth between Yahoo and Wildcard.
Shinboy with 2, but he has to back away. Punich gets confirmed. This could give an opportunity for Wildcard to get the revives that they need to get back up. As for, I don't think Belfrost has the angle, but Sparking has the grenades.
Smokes were dissipating, but they threw out a couple more fresh ones, so the cover should still be there to go for the revive. Oh, never mind, bye-bye, Nick, because that was a wonderful nade from Sparking. He has been able to hit quite a lot of those this tournament. Now, Mexi and Jeems in some trouble. They are the 2-2 split that pushed forward for Overpeakers. They do not have Bard and Clib, and it is evident. Both down, out for the count. Spyro to collect for Twisted Minds. Well, he was at least able to stay alive for longer there for TM. They'll take some very valuable points from this second match. They go to 15 in total, double-digit kills. We are down to our final 4 teams remaining, though, all around the middle pack at the moment.
Yoho backing away from that fight on the west side because they need to get into the zone. They have a little bit of space that Belfrost has confirmed for them. It is going to be New Happy, though, with the strongest position in the circle. They have 4 kills. They're in a position to pick up a lot more with how much space they also have.
So why kick a move count? Last one alive for Wildcard, still top 4, 6 kills, a successful game for them. Now has to take on Vard and Clib. He cannot get rid of Clib. And it is Wildcard out in 4th, and it comes down to New Happy, Yahoo, and Overpeakers. It's Group A that we've got here.
Заселись.
Group A,
У них
best group.
тут просто выкуришь, но.
Yoho right now. Belfrost trying to find the angles.
Нави упали до 11, Твист пока
Understandably so, they have teams to the
на
north as well
пятом. Ну,
as the
после этой
southwest
катки
of
могут
them.
упасть и...
We still have 2 phases to go.
Ну,
So
даже на
any of these
7-й,
teams
наверное,
could
или на
have that
8-й.
advantage. The problem is, like, New Happy probably have the singular best spot right now, not just being close to the circle, but with the amount of position that they can play that has good cover for defensive measures.
I would still count on Vard and Clib, though, third partying, if they get a sense that they can push out. If Yahoo and New Happy both collide, I think they both will understand that they have to go then and third party onto New Happy, which is the more likely opponent. So Yahoo kind of get a free swing at this in a way in terms of pushing on to New Happy. But they also have spotted out Overpeakers. So you kind of ask the question here, do you allow Overpeakers to stay up and then take on New Happy, or do you just collect what you can get?
Definitely collect what you can get right now. If you're Yoho, you have angles on a couple of different spots, a couple of different areas. It's your ho's job to keep Overpeakers essentially pinned on down. Ming Ming might have an angle, Nan as well, but your ho are going to have the best position right now to try and establish who is the healthiest of the squads.
New Happy also trying to collect there onto Overpeakers. Clib be forced to heal. Phase 7 circle will be shifting now. Does it go north there for Yahoo? Not quite, but they are inside of the circle, and Overpeakers are not. They will lose their cover. They will lose their position. But what they basically now are banking on is Yahoo pushing into New Happy. If that does happen, it will give Overpeakers a chance to make the crossover.
That's a big if. Yoho or know that Overpeakers are out in the open and are the weakling in this. The run to the litter that we're looking at right now, they're going to be focusing on Overpeakers. Wait to see them step out and try and collect those 2 kills for themselves. Not let it go over to New Happy because it's only round 2 of 10. But these are still the 3 teams that are dead middle of the pack right now.
3 teams that were very successful in Group A, obviously. Everyone was successful from their respective groups here, but New Happy are holding still, and same with Yahoo. All of the pressure is on the duo of Overpeakers to make a move, and they are doing so. Getting into the Darcia, making their way over to Nan. Nan shuts it down there and says, no chance here getting up my hill. Clib is gone, so is Vard. Job done. Now we get to the final showdown. Yahoo and New Happy, 3 versus 3.
Засели, просто взяли пушку.
The second Overpeakers went out, New Happy put a focus on the north side. Non even pushes up a little bit. You don't want to give up that position necessarily. You could still find a nice little off angle from that spot, but both these squads can only really stay on the east side. I say that Non is actually going to be looping down below, maybe to try and find some gear off of the boxes from Overpeakers. That does seem to be the case right now, but he also might be looking for a cheeky little off angle that could catch Yoho off guard.
No grenades though.
Залутал все с дропа, 3-й каск хотя бы калёная, но есть. Понимает, что там у них есть.
giving space to your hoe, and they're going to be sending it in onto this rock, onto this position. Billfrost is still going to be playing anchor on the backside, but that could just be a trap. They know exactly how to throw these grenades. They've done it to overpeakers. They could be doing it again to your hoe, but sparking peaks.
Yeah, and he peaks successfully down onto Ming Ming. Nan taking some damage as well. Has to fire back with a bit of help from HS. They do get the knock onto Sparking. Shimboy will peek over, and he will sit down HS as well. 2 versus 1. Balefrost and Shimboy have the high ground advantage from here. Nan going for the revive onto Ming Ming. He can throw out some more utility as well to delay the push from Balefrost and Shimboy, but they will trade revives. They will go for Sparking, so from a 2 versus 1, it will be a 3 versus 2.
Balefrost jumping to find that higher angle, looking to confirm the knock onto HS, but more utility flying in, spotted in the air. They're going to back off. But Shimboy with a nice flank around.
Shimboy's got to be successful here, and he is not. Ming Ming with a massive knock onto Shimboy creates the 2 versus 2 environment here. Now it's pretty dead even, and Nan going for a wrap down the bottom. Will Yahoo be expecting this though? While Ming Ming holds, Nan is going for the power move play, and Balefrost is expecting it. Big time play, but Ming Ming gets the trade instantaneously, and he spots the head of Balefrost. What a fight that has eventuated here. Balefrost surely cannot go for the revive. He will stick it for as long as he possibly can. Sparking is watching like a sentry turret. He does die, but job done. He got info that Ming Ming was not pushing.
But now Ming Ming might be going for a revive on his own end. Billfrost not quite confident enough to peek, but he does have a flash at the ready.
He's got to hold it. He's committed maybe too long now. He has to probably get off of this one. Gets 1, can get 2. Shimboy gets the final kill from this game. It's Yahoo with a 7-kill win.
My heart was beating the whole time.
Какой был тяжкий, как было. Какой замесик был. Повторно показывают. Ну, снизу выжидали, когда не обходили.
Do they wrap? Are they pushing? Balefrost watches. Whether he had the information or not, we're not quite sure, but that was still really, really well played from both teams. I think we really saw them both just giving absolutely everything that they had. Good utility usage. The revives said it felt like a chess match, didn't it? A really big win though for Yahoo. Starting well, into starting strong.
Yeah. And this has been such an exciting first 2 rounds so far. It hasn't been one singular team leading everything. 17 in Cerberus, top 2 round number 1. Barely made it through the mid game this time.
All right, well, we'll have game 3 shortly.
Нави должны упасть, грубо говоря, на 7-й или на 8-й место.
Да?
Получается, это я не чекнул. Сейчас покажет. Твист, Нави так уже упали. Твист, сори.
With a great victory to start things off, Toby. And a great game for them overall coming into it as well. They ended, in the end of things, they ended up having so much space on the northern side. We saw them with 17 out on the west side against Take Me Away Gaming. I mean, they essentially had control of half the circle.
And some more fun for
Как высаживали.
on the military to start
Типа
this
как
game here.
лучший момент.
Had some insane plays. 3 kills in the very start of things here. But in general, another northern circle, another kind of home turf circle for some of the teams. But in this situation here for Yahoo, after this, they're definitely saying Yahoo!
Вот Грена, вот она.
The way that they played that,
От твистов хорошая была Грена. Наскочил от этой машины под ту машину.
That car was saying Yahoo as well. That flew away there. Lou getting some nice points on the board. Very, very beneficial, especially if you have it on your fantasy team. In the end of things, though, I mean, we see these south to north rotation from so many teams in one game. The amount of open terrain you have to cross through leads to exactly what we're seeing here. So many cluster fights in the open, and I mean, I think we lost half the server. At least like 2 proper circles earlier than what one only would. It becomes a crazy situation in these kinds of circles. I've said it before, we've seen so many north circles, but this one in particular, Toby's saying, so open.
I'm really happy for it's not being the usual high ground, same 2 kind of spots where we have the warehouse and the twin buildings. I hate those endings because it's so similar. Here at least we get a high ground, and you know, or the trenches. Obviously, OPGs had a hard time getting out of that, but still, they did get a good amount of kills. They did get a good amount of points from the game overall.
Very interesting final moments there between Yahoo and New Happy as well here. Kind of trading reses back and forth, but it will be Yahoo getting themselves the victory here. Game number 2 on Erangel goes to them. Brilliant stuff overall. And let's talk about these final moments as well, as they do get 17 points on the board.
5 teams in double digits.
The stalemate that they find themselves almost with the reses. I thought maybe Ming Ming was going to be the deciding factor, but not to be.
Could have been. I mean, there were, I think the attempted push underneath, and then you get caught jumping in the open there from Nan. Had they committed 2, maybe even the 3 they had at the time for an aggressive forward push, they still had flashes to work with as well. That could have been the play, but tried to be creative. Unfortunately, didn't really pay off.
The spot that they have just worked out so well. Like, it's high ground control with hard cover behind behind you, and it just worked out super well in terms of also getting the knocks. They ended up being in a 3 versus 2 situation that kind of, I feel like that is what won them the game. They had a man up, and it was just rough for New Happy, but Yahoo here and Shinboy popping off.
Very, very nice indeed here from them as they get themselves the 7 kills on the board as well. Across the board though, as you say, we had even as well Twisted Minds, Overpeakers also getting plenty of kills here. So they're going to be popping up quite nice. It's very even so far.
4-2-1.
Dominating.
Ну, за то, что 0 киллов дамага, 422, ага, 1 килл, 189. Просто чувак не добивал. За него всех добивали. Нормально так отыграли.
Rotating back towards the east once they saw Wildcard kind of occupy or take the attention away from Overpeakers in the pit down below.
The lobbies are interesting because I feel like as we take a look at the overall top 5 killers here for game 2, 2 even I should say. The lobbies are interesting because I feel like because we've never had quite as stacked as lobbies as we're going to have, we're almost going to watch it unfold before our eyes in terms of how all of these teams are going to interact with each other, and we're all going to kind of learn together because there are, as Toby says, there are too many good players in this lobby.
Yeah, and here the total leaderboard, of course, 17 game in top. But I want to say this still. Yeah. There's so much mechanical individual skill on these teams. And as we're talking about, and as the players have said in some of the interviews even, you are literally going to lose if you don't hit your first few bullets because the other guys are so good. And also, the barrel versus M4 is super interesting because if you get close enough, the barrel wins nearly almost every time.
Alright, so important thing to note about this, once again, just to reiterate, top 8 after 10 matches goes to the grand final. So even if you're first, or regardless if you're first or 8th, you will be going to that grand final, which does create an interesting potential moment here, Toby. The fact that you've got, 17 doing well up to the top, all you have to do is get top 8.
And that's the thing, right? We mentioned it again, with the amount of good teams in this lobby, what we're seeing right here, right now, could be a turnaround just coming into the next game, was every single team in this lobby could pull off a 15+ kill win.
All right, well, it's time for a break, guys. Thank you very much. We're going to go to that, and when we return, we have one more Erangel coming your way here for PGC.
Перерыв. Сейчас будет Ирангель. Потом 2 карты Мирамар. 3 катки. Давайте покурим 7 минут, посмотрим видео. Подождем начала турика. Красиво там так.
Oh, there's DJ Gaming, the best team in the APAC. Let's go. Hi guys, hello. Hello. Well, where were you heading? What did you do? I just want to have a short interview with you guys and a little quiz time.
Да, это уже, мне кажется, вчера показывали, повторы, что ли, показывают.
Follow me. Welcome to Dubai, DJ Gaming. Can you introduce yourself?
ชื่อเบลมอสครับจาก Daytech Gaming ครับชื่อโนรินจากทีม Daytech Gaming ครับ
Have you met other players from other teams?
Да, вчерашний повтор показывают.
เจอแล้วครับมีทีมจีนแล้วก็ยุโรปแล้วก็อเมริกาครับเจอมาแล้วเวียดนามยุโรปก็คือว่าเจอเริ่มจะครบทุกโซนแล้วแต่ว่ายังไม่ครบทุกทีมครับ
You guys were not that good in last year but became so strong this year. How could you become so strong this year and how could you be so consistent toward this year?
ก็พวกเราเตรียมตัวมาทั้งปีครับปีนี้ก็มีความมั่นใจมากครับที่จะทำได้ดีกว่าเดิมในครั้งนี้ครับ
You guys might not be the first and second in the PCS stat leaderboard, still high, but your team is all about the teamwork.
ก็ด้วยความที่เราเล่นมานานเราเล่นมาประมาณ3ปีเล่นด้วยกันครับแล้วก็เรารู้ว่าข้อผิดพลาดเราเป็นยังไงแล้วเราค่อยๆแก้ไขมาตลอดเลยครับก็ทำให้ประสบความสำเร็จใน PCS ด้วยครับก็คิดว่านูรินเป็นคนที่ไว้ใจได้ตลอดครับเชื่อใจได้ ก็เหมือนกันเลยครับคือเชื่อใจเพื่อนมาตลอดเลยครับว่าเพื่อนทำได้อยู่แล้ว
So this is your first time coming into PGC. How do you feel? It's going to be very much different from PCS.
ก็ตื่นเต้นเหมือนกันครับเป็นครั้งแรกของผมด้วยใน PTC หวังว่าจะทำให้ดีที่สุดครับในการแข่งขัน
Which team do you think is the biggest rival in PGC 2022 for Day Trade Gaming?
ก็คิดว่าเป็นแชมป์เก่าอย่าง New Happy เหมือนกันครับที่แข่งแกร่ง
Any words to New Happy?
See you.
Short and clear. What would be your determination entering into PGC 2022?
ก็พวกเรา Dedicate Gaming จะทำให้เต็มที่ที่สุดครับแล้วก็จะทำให้ดีที่สุดใน APAC ครับ
You can enter in freely, but when you want to go out of this rug, you have to get right with some quiz. We're gonna have a quiz time. So I'm gonna give you 4 keywords.
PGC.
Do you know which player this is?
Number 2.
Number 2. You're right.
Sound.
I'm gonna play the sound.
MK12.
Oh, easy? Was it easy? I want you guys to wear the eye mask.
Thank you.
It's gonna be a random gift. Nurin's first here.
อ๋อเขาให้เลือกเหรอ
ขอให้เลือก
Okay, this for Nurin's and for Bama.
โอ้อันนี้เป็นตึกแน่เลยเขาให้เลือกอะไรก็ได้เหรอ
But only one.
เอาตึกดีกว่า
This? Okay. Take off your eye mask. Gold bar.
I got go เฮ้ย
Oi.
นี่ไงอันนี้เป็น
Do you know what
Burj
this is?
Khalifa
Oh, Burj Khalifa, yes. What are you? Do you like it?
Yeah I'm so rich
You're so rich.
ชอบครับชอบก็รู้ว่าเป็นตึกก็เลยหยิบมาเพราะอันอื่นไม่รู้ว่าคืออะไรแล้ว
First one you picked was the gold one.
โอ้เอ้าทำไมไม่เห็นว่ามี2อันเลยอ่ะ
PGC 2022.
Dedicate Gaming Fighting
So 2 matches into the winners bracket now concluded. Of course, 8 still to go. A lot of time for the teams, Cameron, that have struggled through the first 2 matches, and largely a pretty even top 3 now, all around that sort of 20-point margin after 2 games played.
Yeah.
It does help probably everyone that the top 2 aren't necessarily already soaking up all of the points. Obviously, Cerberus struggling in that game, same with 17, opened the door for the likes of Yahoo.
Yeah, the problem is, though, is that we're looking at only 2 games, but within the context of there being only 2 games, it's seeing a gap develop between like 12th and 11th, 12th place. So the bottom 5 specifically really need to start having good games now. I mean, TMA has survived the Sovsnovka, whatever we want to call that, but BBL, KDF, as well as the other teams around them in that area of the leaderboard, like their buffer is gone.
Yeah, those teams on Sosnovka Island, they need to sort it out. They need to probably have a parlay, a truce, because they all need to start playing the game. I know it's only 2 games, but 2 games turns into 4, which is then halfway. It's only 10 games. You cannot be affording to start this slow for much longer. It's fine now, okay? 1, 2, maybe 4 or 5 points after 2 games, but you need to pick up the pace considering the talent that is in this lobby. We head back in for match number 3. Erangel once again off the back of a Yahoo victory. Game 3 underway.
Last Erangel of the day, we get a bit of a different plane path towards the west, a little more south-southwest focused, so I would be surprised if we saw another repeat Circle 1 that we've seen essentially 2 in a row. However, this means that we could go down to military base, and there's only 2 teams down there now. Wildcard have returned to Novo, TMA are down there, KDF have bailed, BBL have bailed. Where are KDF gonna go? Are they going all the way to Zarki or just North George? Dropping out this late, I have to think Zarki.
Yeah, I'm probably in agreement with you there, and obviously this does mean it concludes that Sosnovka Island issues that we had in the first 2 games with BBL no longer there, Freaks no longer there, and Wildcard firmly entrenched inside of Novo. I'm very curious to see, though, what this circle is going to do. We've had North after North, especially back when we had Group A, very northern circles there as well. Do we go north one more time? No, dead center. Okay, what I would consider a bit more of a vanilla Erangel to close out our Erangel games for today, and I don't mind it.
It's not vanilla just yet. There are still a couple of pockets in this area of the map that have a few interesting, intriguing, exciting to us, maybe not to the players, things going on. But yes, rotation's going to be a lot more straightforward. It's going to be a mixed bag of how far you have to move, you have to travel. Yahoo here, winners of the previous match, looting up in shelter. Balefrost finding some good weaponry down here.
So obviously BBL, they go to Gatka. They've moved away from Sosnovka Island. 2 games they've played, 2 games they haven't really been able to do much in terms of their own volition, except, I mean, in theory, the last match that they played, they did go for that bridge camp just north of the crossroads, and it wasn't that bad. They even had Quet Radio Tower, which I think would have caught Guangdong Freaks off guard a little bit. And then they just decided to send it in and take that fight, and it all fell to pieces from there. So a little bit unfortunate for BBL, but this is going to be a game where they should be able to rotate, get to positions, play the game a little bit. And the same can be said, obviously, for the Guangdong Freaks up in Zaki.
Yeah, one would hope. I like their drop positioning that they're at right now, where we're seeing them currently loot up. It is right just within inside the edge of the zone. It's actually quite a wide spread because the Gatka Fields area, the compounds are so separated out that you are essentially given. You don't have to fight other teams for the singular locations, which means that your geographical space can be quite wide, which means that they have a pick of a litter of where they want to stay on this west side. The problem is you don't want to wait too long looting up if you're that spread, because if there's a team that feels cheeky, feels a little fast on the rotate, then they could easily just bomb it onto a singular isolated individual. But as long as you're aware and prepared for that, you can have a couple of nice options.
Overpeakers on our screens at the moment, 11 points through the first 2 matches. Not too bad, not too shabby. 9th place currently, but I can't help but feel some of that aggression that they had on the first 2 days of the group stage has waned a little bit as the tournament has gone on. They have calmed things down, but ironically, it's when they had that massive amount of aggression that they were finding their most successful games taking place. I do wonder, do you dip back into that a little bit, Cameron, in these kind of matches and just think, let's just run around and shift W and try and see if we can click heads like we did on day 1, day 2 of the group stage?
I would hope. I think part of one reason why they were so successful on day 1 especially is because they likely caught a couple of different teams off guard who themselves were trying to find their footing. Their nerves was perhaps a little bit higher, and so Overpeaker was there to catch them when they were slacking, essentially. But nonetheless, They have been playing a little more defensively, a little more conservatively, and you can chalk that up to where the circles have shifted, the timings of their rotations and running into teams that were there ahead of them. I'm not saying that Overpeakers are necessarily intentionally playing into the conservative play style, but yeah, I do agree with what you're leaning towards of actively look to go aggressive, take some early fights.
Obviously, they had that early in compound, so couldn't really do a whole lot from that in the last game, but still were able to push out, try and be somewhat aggressive where they could be without probably being over-aggressive. Obviously, for the Freaks, they're going to have to be up in Zaki. They'll have to rotate from the north side, pushing down into the south end of Erangel. Rather central circle, though, it means they don't have to go too far on their rotation. A team that basically snuck into Group A, I'm going to be honest, in terms of the top 8. They were not in the top 8 for very long. It was more towards the end of day 3.
Yeah.
And they did not have as many points as their compatriots in Group A as wildcard on the move from Novo. No bridge camps. This time they get through cleanly. Not only that, Farm Milta already clear as well for them, so they'll have a free time pushing up into this circle for wildcard, who had a very, very decent game in that last match. 14 points for them, so averaging 7 points a game, that will probably get you top 8.
Just barely, but top 8 is top 8. Whether you slide on in or whether you take it with an iron fist, irrelevant in the eyes of the lobby. James, eyes on Na'Vi, shots go out, but not a single bullet lands, so the opportunity is going to be missed. The opportunity is going to be closed. As example, does fall away. They give a little bit of space up to Overpeakers, but I don't know if Overpeakers are going to be looking to go particularly aggressive now that their position has been made aware.
Yeah, I mean, what do? You take that space and elect to push up Potato Hill and really contest for this? It's not bad, center circle, really good position. Potato Hill can be susceptible to sort of multiple angles of aggression. I don't sense Overpeakers will want to get too crazy with this, but, you know, maybe they have actually decided to get on that front foot to be aggressive once again. They are moving closer towards an RV.
I mean, they didn't get a knock, they didn't get a kill, but they still forced example back, and so that space, open and available, you'd be a fool not to take it. You know, don't go too far, don't overextend with that, but with your hoe that was just on the east side is definitely a consideration you need to have. Tyloo right now here rotating in from Georgia Pole into Sunken. Standard, straightforward rotation for them, finding some extra loot at this spot. No one's contesting them just yet. They were sitting pretty. But here is that push by Overpeakers. They're recognizing that Na'Vi have given that space up, but Na'Vi are prepared for Overpeakers to then be retaking that space. And if Overpeakers are not too careful, they could drop ahead.
And they've kept Mexi back, though. So it's only 3 up on Potato Hill for Overpeakers. They've taken some space. Vard can peek out off the back of the UAZ noise that James is making, bait, essentially.
Yes.
But it doesn't quite pull out Na'Vi too much. They will peek out where they can safely. I think the goal there from the Overpeakers in maybe sensing that Vard is in a position that Na'Vi wouldn't have been quite aware of, but look how far back Na'Vi have pushed. I mean, as you said, they have given up that space to Overpeakers. They have kind of invited them into the top of Potato Hill, but Overpeakers have a 2-1-1 split. Mexi stayed back at their original location at the compound. Clib watching the backside of Potato Hill, making sure no one can push in behind Vard and James. So it's kind of intriguing to see how this is going to take place. Kickstart is here aware of Nan up close. Well, he won't quite put himself into a position to get shot at. Nan will hold and have that trigger discipline to not give away what is essentially a vulnerable position, and E United get the sense that they will get out of here.
Volcano can be powerful, but they're not comfortable taking it. I don't know if they spotted Nan. I don't think that they did, but lucky for them, they do leave because Nan would have been in a critical position to disrupt E United's position. So they're going to back away, not going to contest it too early on. They find a decent spot as well. Not quite as strong, but in phase number 1, it's, you know, what's a little bit of less space.
And phase number 1 with this kind of circle as well, right? It's not a ridiculous phase 1 circle with 50% water or something like that. You've got a dead center phase 1 circle, Erangel. There's a lot of space, a lot of buildings, a lot of compounds, a lot of places you can try and play for. You don't have to get too aggressive, too crazy. Phil first, question mark, no points for them. The only team after the 2 matches played, now heading into match 3, that still have not been able to pick up a point.
Поднимает вверх. Нормально, нормально. Пока зона первая. Не все так потеряно.
They know QM shooting at them, looking to see if they can't find an angle of their own. Cerberus now coming in from the west. BBL pushed towards the east. Cerberus are taking over that position, but back here on the Overpeakers teams. Maybe try to go for another bait situation. Takes a lot more damage this time around. Falls away, and it looks like Na'Vi aren't too particularly comfortable with Overpeakers.
Здесь чекают их.
Challenging them all too much. So they're pushing forward, and in return,
Что их тут двое, может третий к ним потянется.
Understands potentially that Na'Vi are looking for a fight, and with 50 seconds left on phase number 1, wouldn't necessarily be the smartest decision to try and commit so heavily, even though this is really close to center of the zone.
Level 1 helmet as well. I wonder if he just caught the body shot from Alia with the AWM. And that's forced him back. Obviously, didn't quite get to see just how aggressive James got there, how further he tried to push. But obviously, you know, he's in a position where he can just kind of fall back to what they've already gained. Na'Vi have been already very generous in allowing overpeakers to hold this position. I do wonder if it's almost a trap in a way. If this does center in, do Na'Vi sense that they've got to get rid of these guys before they fully group up? I mean, Na'Vi probably are not aware that Mexi and Clib are not quite on Potato Hill with Vard and James.
Я думаю, в починках сейчас ударит. Скорее всего. Хотя груз упал здесь.
Everyone's pretty happy with their positions right now, but it may change. And it does not quite center up. Down towards the south, a lot of that water still in play as well. The cliffs in play. And suddenly positions like Farm and Pachinko Fields, it looks quite strong. Snake Way as well. And even Daytrade are pretty happy to just go down to the compound at the cliffs. Wildcards just sort of north on the other side of that. A lot of teams up north now have to push down as well. So the entire lobby is just going to sort of drip feed down to the south.
But for Wildcard and Daytrade, how much space are you willing to give up? Because you know it's going to pull away from water anyway. So Wildcard, they're going to stay put in Snake Compound. Na'Vi, as we see, just rotate to the north of them. Because in Mines right now, Batula knows that Tyloo have rotated into the compound package area. He's getting ready to pounce if CC 108 maybe stays a little bit too long. He's going to start firing. That's the sign that Batulan was waiting for, but no! Oh, I don't know if Tyloo are aware of the danger that they're in right now.
Oh, Batulans couldn't quite get
any shot.
Searching for.
Yeah, not a single bullet landing. He's going to back away. Little party beat.
Yeah, I always love those little horns beeping away. It's just like, all right, we know you guys are there. So Na'Vi have elected to give up Potato Hill entirely to the overpeakers. They've swarmed, they've taken it. Na'Vi have pushed down into Snake, along with a lot of teams as well. I mean, a lot of real estate in that position. Na'Vi, Danawa, Yahoo, Wildcard, all in and around that area. Center-ish here for phase 2.
Danawa still trying to figure out where they want to hold on to. See a couple of teams around their area getting ever closer to their spot. This is dead center of the zone right now, but I'm a little worried when any team tries to hold that location, hold that spot. It is very, very open in terms of cover. It's even a little bit on the lower ground, but Danawa are going to be one of the teams that needs to start to look for something. 10th place, not the worst, but they're going to need to try and climb higher, especially on this round. KDF rotating in, just past school, free space. They find it open, and for a team that's coming in with such low priority in terms of rotation, not a bad idea just to stop here for now. Use it as a little bit of a pit stop, try to get some information up that hill as much as you can.
You know you're coming in late, you know that you're not going to get those center positions, you know, especially considering you've come from Zaki, those priority spots will not be available to you, so you just take what you can get, kind of hope for a north, very north hard shift, back up to your position that you can then play from. If this keeps going south though, or at least in the southern direction, I think this will probably just center up. They'll have to play a lot more. They are pushing out though, and trying to take some space over towards the hill. The Vectix will catch Hikari, so KDF, while trying to get a little bit more space, have pushed straight into Twisted Minds. Perfectix has played this well. Ian, though, being able to try and force him back. And a card, too, lands a tag onto Perfectix, who is by himself at the moment. Cannot afford to get knocked. Batulan's in the minimap, driving by, close, but has elected to not go for the straight help or the beeline. He's now getting that help from Lou. Nade falls short of Hikari.
Again, like, Twisted Minds don't want to overcommit onto this because in a matter of moments, the circle could pull far away from them. So I like the Batunas maybe perhaps looking for an angle to deal some damage to KDF, but really the name of the game is to get their teammate out of that spot, and they are able to do just that. Perfect timing as well, because it goes into direction of the medium shift towards the northwest, towards Pachinko Fields, where now 17 have the center, and they have a wide spread of compounds there. Maybe they'll group up into one single location.
Yeah, I mean, there's just way too many compounds to hold there with the split that they had. Lulu always gets a elimination onto Lambu, who was rotating past. Hallen, Salute, Soul. How many times are they? A duo or trio tapped once again for Danawa. do find a position in the bowl though here in the Pachinki fields, and Pachinki is going to be a center factor here in this game.
Понимать, что надо, наверное, уходить будет.
GMA now. Small singular location, but they're protecting their vehicles. That's the important thing.
Видят.
Even though it's going to be a little difficult to get it out, but you know, you'd like to be able to have the options.
Practically neighbors with Danoa, but not in a position to fight each other.
They don't want to waste the grenades by just trying to go dynamite fishing at the moment anyway. And when it goes later into the, if the circle continues to center up, later into the game, it's just going to be bomb. It's going to be a artificial red zone, man-made red zone in that area. But for now, you don't want to waste the utility because we're still early enough in the game that it could go into a completely separate part of the zone.
That elimination onto Lambo, by the way, our only death so far this game for match 3, a stark difference to what we had in match 1 and match 2, respectively. Both those two games, super aggressive. Obviously, hot drops, bridge camps, we had it all in the first 2 games, but this one is shaping up to be your standard Aaron goal, center circle, over towards Pachinki. Not a whole lot of fighting just yet, but it is brooding,
yeah,
building.
It's a lot more of a white tie affair, a lot more polite, high society. But like most high society, we all know that it's all a facade, and these people are gnawing at the bit to try and take some shots at each other. New Happy rotating up. Unsure of their information they have on overpeakers, but of course, Yaho, they know well and good that they are right there past them on the other end of the zone. So they might put a little bit of extra emphasis on stopping the backfill.
Oh, clear.
Oh boy, yes, but this is where the trap is lying.
So overpeakers do have the intel that New Happy pushing to Potato Hill, and Clib can hear the shots now in front of him rather than probably to his right. He is playing off of these auditory cues really nicely. Overpeakers, obviously, again, not fully grouped up. Mexi continues to play the solo, so they are playing as 3 on the hill. And then Yaho has now been spotted by Ming Ming and co for New Happy. So they'll be watching that rotation to make sure that they don't try to push in on the backside of Potato Hill. Yaho have to also get all the way past the Guangdong Creeks after New Happy. This is going to be a very, very dangerous rotation. In fact, so much so, it looks like they're just going to go straight into a card and Hikari.
Might as well. Got to take the fight. You can't be sitting out in the blue for too long. You can't be taking shots from other teams for too long because you know they're just going to start to hit you, tag you more and more. But if Hikari gets one down,
hitting any more? Well, almost so. A wonderful effort, and here comes the push from Overpeakers. Clib from behind the rock throws out the nade. He's getting pushed though. It was a little bit of bad timing. Unfortunately, Nan has caught him at the wrong time. Clib will get punished, take it out, gone. So there's a free kill there for New Happy, but this position no longer valuable with that southern circle shift for phase 4, away from Pachinki, away from the fields as well. And again, that drip feed has now turned into a fountain down south. Everyone just has to rotate. Zhao Yang gets eliminated by Zhao Hai and Crazy combining, and Yaho continue their rotation, or what's left of it, towards this shack. TMA will be able to watch this, and I think TMA might be able to punish that later.
They're still having to hide themselves because they're getting shot at by BBL. A little bit of a high ground from 17 as well. Twisted Minds making a follow-up rotation. Going to stop a little short, it looks, or at least considered it.
Oh, this fight's still happening though. It has not concluded yet, and it is going the way of New Happy. So a kill for Zipyan, 2 for New Happy. And the Overpeakers have lost this fight rather convincingly. Never really were in it. Clib had the surprise advantage. Wasn't able to do much with that, and from there New Happy have been able to take over Potato Hill, which, as I said, no longer inside of the circle. So New Happy now have to get moving as well.
Это у них сейчас началась катка? Да, третья катка уже идет. Они тут починку все устроили. Мясо будет лютейшее. Вот смотри. Тут вообще без мяса. КДФ-ом пизда сразу. Зря они в эту яму поехали. Посмотрим сейчас. Сейчас, секунду. Надо ключ активировать. Тебе скинуть на еще на один купон? Все, они сдохли уже. Вот, сейчас Нави сдохнут.
They get eliminated to Na'Vi. Got a couple of kills on Overpeakers, but didn't survive too much longer themselves.
Yeah, Shibboy was the one that actually got that final elimination there onto New Happy. So 18 points from 3 games.
А чё, вот сейчас надо ставить? Какая сейчас команда выиграет? Не-не-не-не-не-не.
Salute again. How is it always these two alive?
Потом.
Well, actually, no, it's actually Soul this time. So Hal's got a new partner in crime. Show, pushing close. Lulu always from behind though. Unfortunately for Hallen, he can do as good as his job is. He wants against 17, but he's got needs raining in around him.
Это потом потом в конце. Сейчас пока отборочные идут.
TMA decided that Danawa was the bigger threat
Потом,
than
все
17.
потом.
Try and get that maybe last kill, last point. But that's going to
Я
give 17 the
думаю, мои
opportunity to
должны
get revives.
забивать.
Shitboy.
Ну, видишь, 17 команда что-то сейчас тянет нормально.
Ну, смотри, у них уже минус 2, если сейчас добьют, то у них уже не видать этого.
Так это только третья катка. Ох, высадили нормально.
Сейчас вот как раз могут Йохи, ой, эти Ю, твисты. Нави могут еще попытаться.
Ну, Нави за зоной пока что не знаю. Ну, тут даже из-за зоны прокуется. Он из Нави одного.
Позиция хуёвая, и мыти через два этих склада. А, ну у них тачка есть.
Ну, на одной тачке быстро высаживают. Это уже доказано. Ой-ой-ой.
Мои ебут, мои ебут.
Цербер
на канал.
Это еще потом на другую поставь. Вот тебе ответочка. Тут, короче, я сейчас смотрел, тут, походу, задержка какая-то идет. Он стреляет вообще в другую сторону и убивает челик, как-то наперед стреляет. Ну, не знаю. Может, какая задержка там у них. Чуточек. Он стреляет наперед и убивает.
Ну, наперед.
А тачка-то уже проехала. А он кидает и что-то убивает. Может, какая-то задержка по пингу там, я не знаю.
Ну да, возможно.
Либо здесь, когда на стриме отстают. Здесь смотрят. Ой-ой-ой, Нави подъехали.
Ну, сейчас если Нави этих VC высадят, нормально. Одного высадили.
Блядь, зашел, хотел.
Двоих.
Of Uber. Example will finish off Wacky Kamukau. The utility usage from Na'Vi is on point.
17, they know that there's a team there on the south side.
Нави должны выиграть.
Grenades come in on a shower high. Nothing blocked just yet. Back over
Видишь,
here to his
опять минус
Warlord. Adam
локу
goes
Нави.
down. Spray comes out. But it's only Greg's shot remaining. Forced to back away, forced to fall away. And there's not a lot of space there on the east side for him to even move into.
Смотри, на девятом сразу.
Completely out utility by
О,
Na'Vi.
граната. Ой-ой-ой. Перегрели. Прям вообще граната.
А, 17 подняли своих двоих.
Nine teams remaining on the bubble now when it comes to those placement points. Who goes out next and gets none? I think it's going to be one of these two, surely. TMA and 17. They are going toe to toe, and those nades are now going back and forth. Shanghai, the closest, along with Show. They will be running out of these nades, though, surely, and then you have to just stand up and run and just take the gunfight. That actually will go down to a Cerberus in ninth. They will avoid the placement points.
Твисты тоже сначала ебали, а потом упали. Ну, они пока держат. Им надо восьмерку тут держать.
17 tried to loop away from TMA, but it's only Shanghai.
Не, на 17-х, я думаю, сейчас ёбнут. Они вообще в какой-то такой. Посмотрим сейчас. Сейчас Нави, если помогут убить КМщиков, и 17-х, у них еще пройдет. О, смотри, на 7-м уже. Все, эти двое сгорят сейчас.
It just hasn't spread on his location. It's wrapped around the box, but he's found the one pixel that he can stand in. But they know that he's there. Pixel perfect, but more utility comes on out. Will they know that Yuppie is right behind that rock?
Пан зовет уже играть, написал чуть позже. Пока турик смотрю.
Yuppie's position should be well and truly unknown. He will now make his
высадят,
presence known.
высадят.
Kicks out, doesn't get seen. Day trade looking to finish off BBL. BBL
Ой-ой-ой.
smashes through a last-ditch nade. Yuppie does not survive much longer. Logos will get rid of him. 6 kills for 17 Gaming. They are starting to make light work of the winners bracket up into first on 31
Ну,
points.
Нави пока.
They haven't killed
Ну,
Smash,
сейчас
but
тут
Day
пару
Trade's still
команд
back
еще
away because they
воюют.
need to worry
Твисты,
about
да и
getting
тоже
themselves.
могут.
It'll blink of an eye, you don't
Ну, не
have full
факт, что
control
Нави
there
выиграют.
of the zone, but 17 they are
Ну, у
not
них сейчас
done.
пока
They're
есть
going to
шанс.
continue to push in.
Lil
Goes with the
Ю
Groza,
могут,
goes
они
absolutely
тоже делись.
insane onto Yoho, and now Navi are pushing into United territory. Rella with the rock, forced to fall away a little bit, doesn't want to be
Ну,
caught
Юху
off
тоже
guard by the
нормально
push.
рубится.
The grenade in hand, unfortunately, does throw it out in time, but not really into a position, a little bit of damage onto Uber, not much else. No one from United was in a position to trade straight away, but had so after some time has elapsed. Nade has been successfully landed onto Example. Another one gets thrown. That bounce is pretty good. Uber's taken low, but they're going for the revive onto Rallo first.
Вот она. Красивая граната. Так, мы сегодня... Сегодня...
Смотри. На шестом уже, ебать. Они могут сейчас даже...
Мы сегодня видели это, как он... Я когда во второй катке от твистов красивая граната была. Он, короче, подымал своего там, и он просто твист гранатой кинул и в тачку. От тачки от одной отскочил и по другой. В другой тачке два челика было и просто взорвались.
Ты не видел, как этот стример, которого я тебе показывал, ТГЛ, который за Соника играет.
Ну-ну.
Вот, он остался в соло, его всю команду ёбнули. К нему едут трое или четверо из другой команды, он грену кидает, нахуй. Тачка взлетела, все трое сдохли.
Все, нет Соников. Они потом будут играть, у них шанс меньше будет зайти, у этих еще есть шанс. Топ-8 отсюда наберутся, а потом восьмерку уйдет Солянову. Да нет, тут еще твисты могут выиграть.
Ну, если они сейчас... Ну да, они сейчас поднимут. У Нави позиция хорошая. Смотри, эти сейчас ДМ будут кидать, а Нави будут шумок стрелять.
Нави, им всем обоим на зону заходить. Всем трем командам. Почему? Это девятки хорошие позиции сейчас. Твисты, кстати, там сидят. Сейчас, если они кидать будут, Нави пока не будут перестреливаться, увидят, и можно будет забирать.
У Нави там бугор, у твистов тоже бугор, и у этих бугор.
Но твисты идут.
Они идут за фрагами.
А тут за победу, мне кажется, не дают ничего. Тут сейчас за фраги дают. Я вот вторую катку смотрю, за победу не дают.
Победу нет, но фраги-то заработать ты выше будешь.
Ну, сейчас за победу не дают в этих турнирах. В этих только за фраги, мне кажется. Уходит.
Бля, Нави бы зайти в жопу твистам.
Нави идут сюда, Нави сюда идут, помогают своим.
Вот. Не, на машине едут, смотри, двое. Рискую. А нет, центр заняли.
Ой, Грена.
Ну все, они пиздатую позицию заняли, они не запустят зону.
Да не знаю, твисты из таких жоп выбирает пиздец иногда, на. Сам в ахуе, блядь. Идут, обходят. Нави там висит. Главное дело, чтобы Нави не проебали. Если они сейчас вспышку проебут от них, они не видят их Нави.
А эти не знают, что они здесь. Право, смотрите, блядь.
Все чекают дропно. Сейчас, если Нави начнут с этими перестреливать, твисты заберут. Кто первый начнет кидаться, те и выиграют. Кто это? Какая команда из четырех? Чтоб под шумок зайти, это уже сегодня все.
Не, ну Нави заебись.
Видят, увидели Нави, откуда мы пошли. Главное дело сейчас не подставиться. Ну, у них нету, они понимают, что 4 на 4 остались.
У твистов позиция не очень.
Ой, минус 2. Ой, эти помогают.
Минус 2. А нет, все, Нави. Ой, я говорю сразу топ-2. Вот и одна катка, а были топ-10, топ-9.
Закрепляется граната.
Сейчас еще этих двоих.
well, 3 at this point because of follow-up or revive has already happened on the side of Navi. Norton's out in the open. The timing is just never there for him.
Смотри, 28. Если раньше давали за победу 5 фрагов, ну 5 очков за победу давали. Сейчас посмотрим на 4-й катке. Сейчас будет Мирамар. 2 карты сейчас будет Мирамара.
But we're still not
чуточку.
Repeat top placements, repeat top kill numbers across this entire lobby. It is still wide open for a number of these different teams. United, I think, has been in the top 4 all 3 times, but they've been lower on the kill count. So there hasn't yet been 1 or 2 teams still to run away with this lobby.
Maybe 17. If I was to put anyone in that bracket that you're talking about, I would probably have 17 still in that bracket.
Ты что говорил?
One team, one slot. We've only played the 3 matches. We've still got 7 more to go. But a big game from Navi. Uber's happy. Navi's happy. And guess what?
Покушать проголодался. Вон 3-ю Нави забрали. Вот твисты бы еще сейчас показали бы еще, ну, хотя бы карточку одну. И они все. Главное дело сейчас пока так и держаться Нави. Нави, твистам, твисты. Вот повтор пошел. Катки. Ты смотришь повтор? Сейчас должны показать, наверное, если здесь будет. Ебашит, да, с миникана?
Конечно, знают, как стрелять.
Двоих,
почти, посмотри, у них почти у всех миник в приоритете. Миник и это. 762, бля, берил. Но я с него вообще не могу стрелять, он мне, блядь, не нравится.
Не, берил тоже нормальная тема. Калаш, тут с калаша большинство. Ну, на приоритете у них миник. Вот, граната двоих взорвала. В приоритете у них...
Вот.
Ну да, минька. Кто этот? МК. И берил. Но большинство-то у них. У всех МК. Сейчас на Мирамаре вообще будет ништяк. Там такие можно эти вытворяют они, ёбаный в рот.
Этот пустыня?
Ага.
Песчанка?
Ага. Сейчас 2 их карты будут последние.
Нави на ней заебись играют. Они же как раз на них, на песчанке и вылетели в топ.
И твисты тоже на ней же вылетели в топ. Вот на ней, на Мирамар. И твисты там из такого пекла вылазили, вообще пиздец. Вон твои церберы. 8-е место пока у них. По фрагам. 14 киллов Нави сделала. Посмотрим дамаг. Покажут, нет?
8-е были, 2-е, блядь, только.
Только 2-е были? Да это по это сейчас количество, кто сколько дамага сделал. Ой, 4 фрага, 804. 5 фрагов. 1 килл. 1992. Нормально, так нормально.
Top spot, but yeah, across the board, I think the cool thing about this roster for Navi is that everybody's contributing big. I mean, even Melman might not have in this game in particular, but very, very powerful as well.
I mean, we heard the interview with Example just before as well. What did you guys do different from the terrible, to be honest, PCS7 performance? What did you do coming into this? We didn't have to do much. We have an amazing coaching staff that did the majority of the workforce. We just have to focus on playing the game.
Didn't quite focus on them just yet, but I do want to. Daytrade, Flash, and Nurin's really putting in a lot of work this game.
The classic 1-2 punch coming in from Daytrade. I gotta say this though, once we have these circles here, the compounds, the 4-pack and the double bond compound that United eventually came out of, and Day Trade came in and swung in and got the Western control. The way that they played that was so well executed.
But off of that, to counter it, how often do we see that team with the 4-stack compound down below getting too comfortable in those buildings and then in the end being kept contained inside? DA knew exactly when to send 2 up the hillside to try and make sure no one from Cerberus could wrap around.
17-й так идут по количеству фрагов. Первое место.
Ну, Нави, смотри, 33. А было 28. А вот, Цербер на 3-м.
Твист тоже на 6-м. Вот так вот держать, и мы нормально.
Бля, ну это сложно. Твисты, Йохи, Ю, Церберы, блядь, все, блядь, заебись играют. Они в любой момент могут обогнать, блядь. Ну, 17-й вот сейчас ведут, насколько там, условно, на 10 киллов. Они в любой момент могут хуйню исполнить, сдохнуть в начале.
Они уже исполняли вот сейчас, да, на этой карте. Их быстро сняли. И до этого карта была тоже.
Сейчас подойду.
Ну сейчас перерыв будет. Минут 6-7.
Вот сейчас перерыв идет.
Да он и там потом будет. Смотреть будем всякую хуйню.
So hoping to see them to kind of jump into now that we go to Miramar.
It's a good job that Tyler Example's doing so well, because for me, I have Tyloo and Kwangdong Freaks, and they're not doing too well as well. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Time to head over to Miramar now with the casters.
7 matches remaining here for the winners bracket. We head to Miramar for match.
А, ты не будет, что ли, перерыва?
Of the winners bracket, and it's already shaping up to be a very difficult top 8 to maybe break into. Cameron, we were talking about menu sort of off there, just there, the bottom 4 already just lagging behind a little bit. That's then just sort of 4 more teams that are still obviously largely in contention. So that means that if you are in that bottom 4, if you're around that bottom 4, bottom 5 position, you really need to get something.
Мирамар. Сера, нету перерыва.
Yeah, and we've seen that map swap be helpful to teams in the past. If they're struggling, it gives them an opportunity to reset themselves because it is literally a different game. Or at least a different game state.
Нормально, такой разлетик небольшой.
This opening plane path onto Miramar, a bit southeast heavy, and so if you are a team, look at who's the worst.
Када команда 17 занимает. Нави тоже. Чекают разлеты.
Especially the ones that are gonna have a huge run. Actually, I lied. QM. What would you lie? Not looking great. I'm sorry.
Что-то у Нави вообще тут все разлетелись, ебать. Ох, 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 сразу сколько тут. Ой-ой-ой, первый ног, что ли?
So valuable in this fight. Code Marco and Smash though, both with some big shots. And that's 2 massive downs, at least there from BBL. Struggling on Erangel, struggling in these kind of fights early on down on Sosnovka Island. And yeah, very successful early here. Shotgun in hand for Hallen, but they've both lost Lambo and Salute.
Сразу же замес.
It's confirmed by his own teammates Molotov. Maybe they figured that there was no way they were reviving him anyway, but Smash Jack grenade at the ready. Doesn't... Oh, it actually didn't land inside the building, it looks like. Or the room, rather. Allen is just begging for them to push. Shotgun at the ready, has to reload.
Понимает, что у него 17 патронов.
Multiple angles, multiple sides. Sold UMP on the outside is the one that's needed to work to save Helen.
Oh, just shut the door on him there. Oh, timing again. I'm not gonna lie, some of the timing here for BBL.
Все, минус команда. Размотали. У тех вообще патрон не было. 17 патронов было всего. Нормально такой замесик сейчас был. Добивают сразу. Есть скилл.
So, judging off of the map, that's based off of what the teams have.
Ну и тоже хорошо заняли, лутаются. Все прекрасно, у них нет никого. Вообще шикарно.
were supposed to go to Monte Nuevo, or at least they claim they're going to be going to Monte
Показывает
Nuevo, but then they
повтор.
moved to a different location, and that's sort of given a bit of a domino effect that has now punished Ty Lu. There's a replay here of the end of the previous match that Navi were able to come out on top of.
And I think really just giving a wonderful example there as to the split minds maybe of Twisted Minds in the end, no pun intended.
It's in the name, it's in the name.
Yeah. You had one pushing onto day trade, one running at Navi, two holding back at this intriguing push, and obviously day trade did benefit a little bit from that couple kills, then you get second place.
I have to imagine that Twisted Minds swung to the east and back to the west.
Смотрим. Нави выиграл до этого предыдущую катку.
Reveal something to them, give them the opportunity. They felt trapped in onto the north side, Twisted Minds perhaps, and they wanted to try and maybe take a little bit of a gamble instead of just steamrolling over into a bunkered in day trade, but back onto the Miramar around. Jiang is trying to get revenge onto his fallen teammate. Grenade at the ready, but James is, oh no, it's not even James, it's far from the side angle. That's a second knock.
Не отпустили, они его добивают.
Carlo's not going to be happy with this either. They'll feel like their territory is getting crushed upon. They only got the 4 points.
Нарезка взялась команды, это уже 2 фрага у них есть.
1 point a game is not going to get you into the grand finals.
Not through the winners bracket.
Not through the winners bracket. They'll have to
Один убегает.
think about their path coming through losers bracket 2. Still some
Здесь, мне кажется, нет. А, есть здесь вот.
Big games is all it really takes to get you back into that top 8 conversation if you are KDF, Tyloo, QM, at least now on our screens, who obviously it's still pointless. They have got nothing to show for the first 3 matches on Erenkel. Maybe Miramar is where they can turn it around.
Hopefully, but they are looting there on the south coast of Miramar.
Своим.
As we saw for Circle 1, it wasn't as far north as the first 2 of Erengel were, but it is still really far, especially when you consider the plane path being south heavy. So they're, once again, going to have to go through a pretty far rotation. You can just tell that their current movement up towards the north is a little unsure, unsteady. They don't exactly know where New Happy or Wildcard those teams in that immediate region.
And the rough calculations for QM is plain and simple. If they get nothing from this game, it means they will have to average 10 points a game here on out. I mean, that is top of the standings kind of numbers that we're seeing only from 17 and Navi. That's the kind of form that QM would have to show out of basically nowhere if they can't get some points from this game.
3 дыма. Дымов они много забирают, считай. На команду вот 3-5. 6 он кого-то дымов. Дымов они нормально собирают.
Rotating up, TMA. Pushing in towards the north, they're not going directly into the zone.
Вот она. Лидер команды, команда номер 17.
They should be aware that it's going to be a relatively empty north again because of the relationship between the zone and the plane path. 17 Gaming, though, they are always looking for a fight.
Ждут, когда сядут.
So confidently.
Скидываются, он лег под машину. Сейчас будут машину, наверное.
So this is going to be a very, very interesting situation to try and
Нет, не
not
дали.
even happening at all. United here's the shots. They wonder, wait, what's that? What's happening over the corner? What's happening over that ridge line? Now they pick up a kill of their own.
С глушителем.
Still going for more. Sparking is inside of that smoke, but Kickstart close will not really be able to allow Shimboy to make that run across. Shimboy pretty fortunate to be alive there.
АВМ там кто-то подобрал, но пока без патронов. Походу перезаряжается.
That's the way that Kickstart was really starting.
Уходит, все бросают. Понимает, что не поднять, бросает.
Yeah, absolutely. He definitely. I got there in the end. Slow start, similar to United, but they are looking good. It's just in contrast to their Group B.
Сейчас если, нет, он туда поехал.
It's not exactly up to level, but again, it's about hit top 8. That's the important part.
Серый, не было перерыва, ты 2 замесика просрал.
Почему я сидел в туалете, смотрел. Телефон.
Вообще, вот повтор замеса, где был. Вот здесь вот. Смотри внизу на плаву. Вообще тут нормально. Ну, это всего
я видел, как это
17 патронов у него всего было. У него вот патроны кончились и все. Что ему делать-то? У тех патроны, ну и быстрее они, наверное, упали. Нормально пока идут.
Эти что-то катаются все, блядь. У них 0 фрагов, они что-то катаются.
Они сейчас ищут замес, эти тоже на выстрелы приехали. 17-я там команда кидала. Поэтому как по 5-й команде. Первая по 5-й кидала. А там вот эти подсосали. Вообще нормально.
Эти что-то как-то тоже растянули жестко.
Они сейчас все стянутся. Тачки ищут. Автобусы забрали, там он дроп. Сейчас на дропе замес будет. Висты дроп охраняют.
Ую, тут один, там один и там двое.
Ну, так вот раскидывались. Эти, смотри, объезжают, смотри. За зоной сейчас заедут.
Сейчас, наверное, с оазиса заедут где-нибудь.
Их оттуда ждать никто не будет.
Ну, наверное, неплохая позиция. Они с горы могут ебашить.
Видишь, объезжает. А, да, они залутали первый дроп, они забрали.
Сейчас ехи могут этих двоих убить.
Но у них там подтягивается к ним. Они, наверное, уедут, скорее всего. Вот твисты зачем? Вот они спускаются с горы зачем-то. Нормальная позиция на горе была.
Импы, может, где-нибудь хотят занять.
Коряк. Вот Нави с твистами сейчас чекнутся.
Блять, Алия куда-то поехал. Как бы вот твисты сейчас не люблю.
Ну, он пока чекает, она не видишь, каждый по машине, он, видишь, к ним не приближается. Они каждый по тачке забрали, и все. Он просто чекает их.
Нави тоже хотят сменить позицию.
Он их проводил. Не знаю, сейчас может быть. Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой, сейчас бы как бы Нави не поплатились.
Бля, ну твисты нормальную позицию заняли. Эти не будут пить. О, эти сейчас к твистам поедут, походу.
Возможно, возможно. Вот сейчас замес будет, скорее всего. Там у них так они клавиатуру неудобно держат, что они ее кверх ногами держат. Я вот смотрел. Вообще так.
Ну, кверх ногами они
китайцы разворачивают ее, и вообще у них прям она клавиатура прям под пузом находится.
В доте я видел, как играют. В доте тоже.
Ой-ой-ой, смотри, 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 смотри.
О, двоих слепанул! Блять. Не туда развернулся. Сейчас бы двоих мог ебать.
Ой-ой-ой, перевернулся или нет? А я думал, тачки перевернулся, добили.
Блять, переключили, там сейчас замес должен быть.
Да. Все его забрали. Не туда ушел просто, на слепу.
Yeah, as I said, Overpickers did not even entertain the idea of making their way over.
Way too risky. The number of teams that are in the area, getting to that position would have been a coin flip in a way. So I don't mind the fact that they were forced to keep leaf clip.
Это NH, а где, блядь, 17-й? Что-то я не понял.
Сейчас покажут. Подожди, сейчас миникарту откроет. Повтор. А там кого-то высадили. Вон внизу, повтор плавал. Камера где не захватила. Из твистов одного, да? Высадили.
BBL высадили. Йохи.
Ну, а и он по своему проехал.
Да, задавил своего.
На.
Вот, кстати, ошибка. Очень часто. Они очень часто своих дают. И потом за это, блядь, умирают всей командой.
Ну, они, видишь, он ехал за ними, он же как они держатся друг за другом, ёпть. Одного усаживают, и он проехал просто по нему, и все. Вон, видишь, 17-я команда где? Они Сан-Мартин чекают. Сан-Мартин или как. Один у них внизу.
Сейчас у них один, да, держит позицию для своих.
Сейчас вот твист. Прочекал их. Не решили они туда ехать. Отъезжают назад. Ну.
Мы опять, смотри, катались, приехали в самую жопу, нахуй.
Вон повтор, смотри, сейчас опять кого-то нокнут.
Вот, QM едут.
Ох, вот это он зажимает, это так. Чё?
Нихуя он его высадил, блядь. Бля, Тайкон жестко играет.
Нормально высадил он их.
Из церберов, которые, блядь, жесткие.
Не глючит, Иван. Тут все пока нормально. Пока все нормально. Только тут иногда замесы не видно, он дублируется их. Их показывают внизу. Вот здесь на экранчике камера одна не успевает, вот здесь на экране показывает потом. Плау пишет. Сейчас высадит, нет? Ой-ой-ой, сейчас этого испугал. Да. Шибли, это сейчас поплатится один.
Сбили?
Да, и гранату греет. Ой-ой-ой.
Бам, нахуй. Сейчас Тайкон их разъебет.
На.
Добили. На, там нахуй.
Ой-ой-ой, успеет, нет? Да, успел лечь. Все нормально.
Я же говорю, он их разъебет. Тайкон вообще жесткий.
Вот по нему кто кидал. Показывается все.
Его уже не смогут.
Да, хорошо.
На 18-й пока не очень хотят пиздиться.
Перевод, видишь, что какой английский? У русских нет переводов. Даже, блять, возьмем Доту, потом CSGO, там везде есть, на всяких турнирах есть русские переводы. А сейчас, походу, в связи с санкциями, наши запретили нашим переводить, походу.
Да не Дота-то вот была месяц назад.
Ну там же, видишь, был русский перевод.
Ну.
А здесь нету. Приходится так по-английски бомбулить.
Well, it's more so the greedy nature of it in my eyes. Phase 4, there's teams up north, you've got Day Trade over Peakers, you've also still got a couple of teams out west. Like, Wildcard may look at that position of Guangdong Freaks and think we might have to push into that compound.
Ой-ой-ой, видел, какой выстрел красивый был. Ты говоришь, ничего не могут. Церберы собрались.
That the phase 5 circle, they'll have the split, and then they play off of that circle shift.
New happy here on the west side. We saw Wildcard just barely, it feels like, beat them to that compound with the circle shift.
Да. Приходится так вот. смотреть. Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой-ой. Ой, вообще нормально. Заехали.
Все.
Идут курить бамбук пока что. Ну там еще одна картка будет у них и все.
О, Нави Церберов ебут.
Да, тут больно быстро. О, на... Не летит вообще. С миника у него.
That I think Guangdong Freaks are going to get away with this 2-2 split phase 4, and all the credit to them. They will be able to play on phase 5, and they should, from that, get best position.
Overpeakers, day trade, where do they go? In fact, where does New Happy go? They don't want to push into Wildcard's compound. They're just going to shift on into a small little position that they can hold on to on the edge.
Вон и 17-ю команду показали. Что-то они вообще сегодня в замесе не участвуют. У них 0 киллов вообще. Держат, наверное, пока.
Может, чтобы не умереть, типа, якобы в конце все равно сейчас настреляем.
Down really early in that push too from the Overpeakers, and that's probably given warning to the last two players to just back out and see if they can now play for points. Really unfortunate push there from the Overpeakers, and honestly, 4 matches in, only the 14 points.
Иван, ты понимаешь, на Твиче может глючить, там сейчас народ дофига, там купоны бесплатные лутают. Как залутают, и все уходит половина.
Expect them to group up, and they don't really get the circle shift. It's Yahoo that copped the phase 5 circle. Flood goes down to the blue. United out early for match 4.
Yeah, you can tell they're not particularly happy with how these games have been going. They're in a good spot on the leaderboard, but they want so much more. You can tell. But yeah, with that KDF, this is what I was going to ask for. They have to, at this point, condense into one position. This is the superior of the two spots that they had. They have to hold the west side and then play once the circle is closed into the east, into the more open area.
20 minutes has elapsed here at match 4. We've got one more match 4 today after this still to play. 10 matches in total for the winners bracket, though. A reminder, there aren't too many more games to play. Every match so valuable, so vital. Wildcard, New Happy. Extremely close to each other on the leaderboard and in the game. And it's Maxi that will get a knock onto Balmorth. It's a strange push from Boochills, but it's really successful. On the back of the buggy, he gets the headshot onto Maxi, but Bard will punish him for pushing close to his window.
It's a very, very Hail Mary play by Daytrade, but it's because TMA have full control of this area. They can just hang out, they can just watch the refugees.
Пока телефон звонил, отвлекся нечаянно.
Нечаянно отвлекся?
Да вот, пока этот пошел за телефоном, что-то домофоны звонят, ошибаются. Не видно, походу ошиблись адресом, куда попали. Я говорю, да, они говорят, извините, я ошиблись.
Backfilling in behind them as well on the rotation, on the move. Adam has blown up and losing Wildcard. Sorry, after losing White Kick and Mook out, Wildcard now down to 2.
Again, TMA's is holding strong in this area. They cannot get shot by anyone from the south side, so they have full control. Ducks the vehicle. All the get shot in the back. New Happy, there really weren't that many options, and they just try and go towards the north.
Himas will get a free kill for Cerberus. Thank you very much. He says the end of the line for New Happy and for HS is met.
Минус Nature.
Snickers with a knockdown onto Crazy. Now 17 Gaming making the push, and suddenly it's the northern side of this circle that has seen a
Да, сейчас что-то будет в конце по-любому. Нави 17 мне опять что-то ждать.
Пытается закуситься.
О, 17 ебут. Если у них парочку высадят, все, это Нави, блять, могут выиграть.
Опять, но еще твисты могут. И 14-я команда, КДФ.
Ну там, наверное, скилла не хватит. Твисты, если блин, не добьют, походу. Сейчас твисты свои 17. О, один умер 17.
Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой-ой.
from Shout AD. Really good patience, and Wildcard will be eliminated. So 8 teams remaining. Very shortly after Wildcard, it was Cerberus eliminated in 9th. 25 players to the good. 22 minutes 45 seconds has elapsed. If for match 4, our first one of Miramar, and it's Yahoo.
Так, Нави едут к Йохам. Их трое.
Yahoo already with 3 kills is more than I expected. I was worried that they wouldn't have had that many opportunities to deal some damage, to get a few kills, but it's about getting even more out of this situation. You don't get a shift like this every single round. You want to milk it for all it's worth. Navi do approach, do pit under them, and it actually forces Yahoo away because they know that they don't have the resources to defend multiple sides. It is way too large.
18 позиция конченая, смотри, им не дают в зону зайти.
Так они и не зайдут, мне кажется. А, хотя под домами, возможно, если поедут сейчас вот вниз, вот сюда, на эту команду.
А они их высадить могут, нет?
Угу.
Флеха.
Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой, вообще красавец.
минус 2.
Вообще нормальный такой замес. Все, высадили. Один высадил. Троих, на. А, двоих он высадил, один тот добил. Нормально. Да, да, Нави пока они вот один раз взяли, они как-то... Ой-ой-ой-ой. Они до этого карту взяли на Мирамаре. Фу, на Ирангеле вроде карта была. Это сейчас Мирамар. Потом еще одна карта будет Мирамар. В конце 2 Мирамар всегда идут.
Теперь эти не выйдут. Но они в зоне. Не в зоне.
Через дымы. Вот Грена, смотри, повтор.
Бам.
Сразу двоих. Ну нормально, тут главное дело у них, видишь, они вдвоем и так нормально принесли им.
QM первые фраги заработали. Это было 0.
Да, я сначала смотрю турнира. Уж какой день он идет. Как у Соники первый раз сгорели, у них не пошел турнир, так они его поедут домой походу. Машина горит, Серег.
Она, видишь, столько урон не наносит.
Не пошло ничего у них. Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой. Нави подфартила. Вообще шикарно. Там и Йоха, смотри. Тоже нормально так.
Смотри, сейчас Нави твистов вынесут.
Там и Йохи, смотри, сидят нормально. Еще могут Йохи сейчас занять топчик.
Ну их трое.
Чекует вообще нормально.
Кто твистов ебут, походу. И покажите нам Нави, ебан.
Ой-ой-ой. Вчера я только не смотрел, но я потом пересмотрел. Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой-ой. Не летит вообще. На, в голову, на.
BBL, they know that it's going to be a rough push into the Yahoo compound. They want to try and collect these kills here. They can get every single kill that's available for them. Smash with another knock. The Lulu is there for the immediate trade, and now KDF, they're actually
едут, понимают, что там не поедут.
Зря.
There's a shack and there's also some decent rocks. This is not awful, but they have to deal with TMA, which finally they go down to the blue, and obviously still BBL.
Матсемки зажимаются с 6-го прицела. Огонь, на.
Я вчера смотрел тоже.
Я вчера потом пересматривал.
На этой, на карте песчаной, где только 3-й прицел. Чел, стример известный тоже, со Скарлом, блядь. Всю карту нахуй выебал со Скарлом.
Там Винчестер тоже нормально ороляет. Он там как учитывается, как это идет.
Так он
как
стрелял
корректно.
именно как из автомата, а добивал по одной тычке. Ребята, так зажимать надо.
Ну, они мне кажется... А, они в зоне, ничего себе. У Нави сейчас в шикарной вообще позиции. У них 4 твисты, то... Ну... Ой, Йоху им забрать, главное дело. Им Йохи там мешают вообще. Могут погрызть, так их покусать нормально. Греет граната.
Одного Йоху положили.
Давай.
Ба.
На. Вообще нормально. Сейчас
еще одну туда же. О, вот эту. А, далеко.
Ага.
О, сейчас подождет, да?
Нет, перелетело. Вот, 4 команды осталось. Сейчас процент примерно покажут, какой у кого будет. Ну это так, сугубо.
Твисты уже к домам подобрались.
Ну видишь, Нави, у них 3 команды их зажало. Им надо было сначала с Йохами разобраться. Ну, Нави пока нормально себя чувствуют.
Ну они вчетвером в одном доме, нормально. Твисты вчетвером и Йохи втроем.
Пока нормально они себя чувствуют даже, я бы сказал.
Да, Йохи дохуя фрагов.
Йохи тоже, смотри, троем сколько
7
делают.
фрагов уже заработали, блядь. Твисты живут до сих пор, 0 фрагов. Йохи уже 7 ебали, блядь.
Ну видишь, они тоже... Ой-ой-ой. Сейчас плохо зажалось твистов один.
Ну и у Нави по-любому топ-1 будут после этой карты.
Ну, не знаю, как сейчас отыграть, Серег. Сейчас может все решиться. Видишь, они уходят с этого, с домика.
Им надо 1 фраг сделать. А, все, зона исчезла, да? Сейчас будет мясо.
Да. Сейчас до сужения будет все. Видишь, они в этих сидят.
Эти по углам сидят тоже 4.
Ну, Нави, они, грубо говоря, в центре, да? Или нет? Да, или твисты в центре, не пойму.
Твисты в центре.
Значит, ну, возможно, твистов может взять, получится взять топчик.
У Нави, скорее всего, быстрее зона будет.
Ну и Йохи сейчас пойдут. Угу, твисты в центре. Ты говоришь, лишь подкрались, нахуй сели и все.
Йохи поджимаются.
Понимаешь, что там...
Вот сейчас бы туда 3 гранаты.
Ох, видел, прочекал из твистов. В дом заносит.
Только потратили все. Просто так.
Ой, я чуть по своему не попал из твистов или попал. Да нет, Нави, грубо говоря, тоже в центре.
Да, у Нави лучше.
Вот сейчас вот просто тут ники везде, а так у них они тоже в шикарном состоянии.
Ну, сейчас вот мясо будет вот здесь в центре домов.
Угу. Сейчас не увидит никто, но все дымами закидывает.
Сейчас только дыма будет.
Главное дело не спешить. Ех, ебать, тут вообще столько дымов на. Ну и понимать, что
смотри
их
на
поджали.
экземплу. Он с 2 твистами там стоит. Пизда, сейчас понесется просто. Минус 2. Добивай их сразу, блядь. Все, твисты ёбнуты. Йохи, все.
Нави взяли вторую катку. Я думал, Йохи сначала вообще, тут вообще непонятно так было.
Я кричу Йохи, типа они Йохов еще выебли одновременно. Бля, люто.
Обидно, видишь, Йохом.
Вау, видишь, как у него клавиатура стоит?
Да
заметил, что у них у большинства маленькие клавиатуры. Именно компактные, игровые, типа.
Да, Клау у них вообще прям миниатюрненький. Сейчас, походу, будет перерыв. Или пойдут счет гонять, не знаю.
Но это не конец.
Нет, еще одна карта должна быть. 2 Мирамара. А он только один был. В конце... Вот повтор, где Нави. Твистов.
Ну они вот тут твистов подловили.
Да, вторую они топчик взяли.
Вот, минус раз, минус два.
Сейчас вот повтор показывает.
Сейчас вот этого высадит.
А то там вообще не замес, хуй поймешь какой был. Вот,
и смотри, Йохи выпрыгивают, и им пизда сразу.
Да, еще тут одна карта сейчас будет, Иван. Тоже Мирамар. Их должно быть 2 Мирамара. Вот тоже в начале они раскатали нормально команду. Замесик тут неплохой был в начале.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's BBL that wants to contest. They've said it before. We don't want to just have the low ground. We want to have Church as well. Dynamo took the fight to them. Well, they paid the price.
When you have this BBL split here, you need to have this Church. It does not work without the Church and the entry that you're able to get up there.
5 карт вроде бы играют. Как начисляются очки по 5, так и 5 карт играют. Но в конце они что-то решили сделать 2 Мирамара. Вчера было 2, сегодня не знаю. Мне кажется, тоже будет Мирамар.
To be able to get into this late game in such a situation here is fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. As we see, oh no, not
Ой, граната какая. Ну, повторю, залетела. Видишь, Йохи тоже неплохо так постреляли, считай, втроем. 7 киллов сделали, на 3-е место пришли.
Нави был 1 фраг, сразу 5.
Нормально.
51, 8 очков сразу, плюс 7. У них сколько сейчас будет? 56?
Мне кажется, если 2 подряд занимаешь, там больше дают очков.
Сейчас посмотрим. 56, наверное, сейчас будет.
Сейчас увидим, сейчас что-то одна карта должна быть. Последняя.
Они прям хорошие сделали отрыв сейчас.
Jumping into the 51-point mark here with this one. This is almost, I would say, guaranteed at this point for them to go to final.
Yeah. I mean, even if they stop playing now, my bet is that we're sitting around 50-55 for the 8th place cutoff.
I think 60.
After this, and even then, I mean, it's phenomenal. Back-to-back wins, kills to boot as well. That is exactly what you want to have.
Yeah, terrifying stuff for them. I mean, not only did they place number 1 in Group A, everyone considered that to be
1 килл, 600 дамага. Что 4.
Melman leading the charge, and this is exactly what we said about this team in the previous game. Melman may have only got 1 kill with not that much damage.
Нормально идут чуваки.
There's not a player that can't deliver, and right now they are all doing exactly that. It's scary to imagine a team like this can sit at the very bottom of PCS in EU, and then the tournament to follow, they come out and absolutely dumpster everyone.
The important tournament, they come out and completely trash
it's just wild to me how they can be this much night and day, because they're looking unstoppable right now.
Honestly, PCS 7 may have been an amazing an amazing wake-up call.
Yeah.
Because quite honestly, doing that poorly and then coming in here, they must have been working hard.
Same case for BBL, didn't go to PCS 7. They're really worried about not
6 киллов он этот сделал.
Now they're here, they're doing good. I'll say this though, the control and the smoke and utility usage for Na'Vi in that game is literally what one offensive smoke.
Ну и красавчики, они просто дожили, потом зашли.
Я тебе как говорил, что подожди.
All of it. So not only are veterans exciting to watch, but I think even our, in inverted commas, newcomers are kind of amazing.
Бля, вот первую катку и вторую катку показывали внизу, сколько карт будет играться. Сейчас что-то уже первую катку и вторую катку, а третью, четвертую что-то не показывает. 51 у них стал. Тотал, 51, Серег.
Ну, вижу, но почему 51 у них при игре был, а что им 5 не дали?
Не добавляют, мне кажется, по 5. Это в отборе добавляют.
До этого прибавили.
Сейчас посмотрим.
После первой победы.
Сейчас посмотрим.
Сейчас, может, катки прибавят.
Ну, сейчас увидим.
All these teams need a bit more traction. And honestly, I mean, if you're a bottom team right now, the best thing you can hope for is that it's the same 2-3 teams at the top that are racking up the points, because that means the gap up to that top 8 spot won't be as far. They don't care that there's a jump up to first or second or third. They need to still be available to reach 8.
And we're seeing that consistency from Na'Vi, from 17, Twisted Minds doing that as well. So there is the potential that Sponging.
Ладно, сейчас посмотрим. Сейчас я подойду. Минутку.
Думаешь, 8 игр, 5 игр будут там, а не 4?
5. 5 должно быть, 2 Мирамара играется. Но если только изменили правила, я еще не чекал их вообще.
Было 5, сделали 4.
Возможно, Серег, я тебе тоже такой... Вот, Мирамар, еще одна, говорит, карта. Вон, видишь, последняя карта, 5-я, Мирамар. Сейчас прям пойду водички попью.
Commotion as they can. Question mark now forced to be 4 in a vehicle. Make their play on forward, driving straight past all of Gen G and somehow surviving while doing so. As I say that, Block finds one of the best from Ada. Picture perfect, finds the final 3. BPL, should they be able to get the kills here, they will have plenty of room to scout their way forward. They did manage to get out of the compound that they were sharing with Luminosity, so I guess that's a start. That Molly might actually be on point too. Yep, there you go.
There it is. Nicely placed there by Code Marco. Underneath the bridge right now. Nobody really looking to third party this. Oh, now Petrichor is.
Great job.
Code Marco.
Don't recall having ever seen that before, but it really paid off.
They're going to stop just off to the west of that wild card warehouse. Meanwhile, TMA going to use that as an opportunity. I think they've read the situation. They know there's 2 here. San's going to find 1. San's going to find 2 as Ty Lu hold the line. Now we know there's no one there, but little do we normally know. No, here's the kryptonite. The donut.
А, еще 4 минуты тут. Походу у них перерыв еще час. Ой.
Indeed, and look at Tyler. They want to get a little bit of piece of this. They are very secure in their.
Ты здесь, Серег?
Да.
О, граната, да? Да, двоих.
This is the Chinese magnet, and they all want a piece of this compound. Everybody, as soon as wildcard leaves, they're trying to send in Chaitong to take a few shots at the Petrichor row. But look at 17. They're going to find a few knocks there. As now Chaitong down the last player for Tyloo, and just like that, Pero is taken out by Show.
Improvements to the folded shield. Some spawn rate adjustments for vehicles. And a collaboration with one of the best footballers in the world. All this and more as we dive into the update 20.2 patch report. First up,
Хочу стрим запустить.
Кто?
Я.
Запускай, ты давно не стримил.
Но.
With a vehicle now needing to be going at least 10 kilometers per hour instead of the 1 kilometer per hour it was before. In addition, the shield can now be placed back into your inventory, and deployment can be cancelled before it finishes. Let us know what you think about these.
Ну, Нави вообще сегодня нормально так. Ультанули, аж 2 игры подряд нам. Посмотрим. 5-ю игру. Чего она нам покажет. На, сковородка.
As usual, the ranked rotation will remain Erangel, Miramar, and Tago. This update also features a collaboration with one of the best footballers in the game, Neymar Jr. For a limited time, you can pick up several Neymar-themed items in the store. Gear up and score big. There's also a reduction in the number of multi-care packages on Tago, some MMR adjustments for normal games, new workshop skins, and more. So be sure to check out the patch notes for full details. Update 20.2 is here, so fold up your shield, pack up the Dacia, and go catch a ball game. We'll see you on the battlegrounds.
Давай уже запускай. Вот куда надо отдыхать и ехать.
Дубай?
Угу. 51 у них у Нави. Так и висит очки.
О.
Че, теперь 40 секунд так будем сидеть ждать, на? Ну, твисты 5-е пока место. Эти нормально пока. Быки что-то ушли, вот это. Аж на 10. Угу. Все.
Back-to-back victories for Na'Vi has them on the precipice of an appearance at the grand finals already after 4 matches. One more game to go today for the winners bracket. Of course, 5 more to go tomorrow, Cameron, but it is starting to get to maybe nervous territory for those teams towards the bottom of the standings. They need to pick their game up.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of surge from, well, surge relative to the first 3 rounds from QM, but they're going to need to continue to push that further and further, as well as a bunch of different teams as well, because yes, there is Na'Vi in the lead. They would essentially have to bomb out with 0 points 6 games in a row to not go to the grand finals. The other teams, like towards the bottom, that middle section is getting very, very packed. So it's not just about finding points yourselves, but also hoping that the teams in your way also drop off, and that is completely unreliable.
Na'Vi were just far too clinical at the end of that game, and right now looking like one of the best teams in this tournament. Along with probably 17 at 40 points, they're not too far away, considering there's still 6 more matches for them to play. Obviously towards the bottom, we saw BBL turn some things around. Smash, a large influence for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Smash was insane. If they can put him in a position to keep getting those kills, keep dealing that damage, then I think BBL are going to have a shot, but they can't have this be a one-off today. They need to end Miramar strong both maps in a row.
There's a lot of teams that need to end strong here on Miramar, and this is the end of the line for day number 1 of the winners bracket. Match 5, Miramar, final game, final chance to get some very valuable points.
Game start, match 5. Who is going to take home the last chicken dinner of the day? We had 2 in a row from Na'Vi. Can they make it a three-peat? Can they make it a hat trick? Or is another team going to enter the mix, enter the fray?
There's one thought in that if Na'Vi do go on and have another massive game, considering they're already largely qualified for the grand finals, they end up soaking points, right? Which may help out those teams.
Сейчас я подойду сюда.
Depending on, of course, who they're taking the points away from. Final play path for the day, and he's going to go right over Lost Leones.
Так, ничего, начинается.
16 kills from 4 matches.
Последняя карта, Мирамар.
Even leading above Na'Vi. I mean, Example has 10. He's second in line, and still 6 kills behind Tycon, despite Na'Vi having 2 back-to-back wins.
Yeah, it sort of shows the, I guess, the approach that, or at least the execution contrast between Cerberus and Na'Vi. Na'Vi is very much a team effort. Everyone is getting involved in some way, whereas in Cerberus, not a knock against them, but they are being carried heavily by Tycon right now. The rest of the team are, you know, they're following up strong. It's not like Tycon is the only one doing any work at all, but it is definitely a case of if Tycon goes down early, Cerberus there's going to be a lot of questions on how they can continue to perform.
They do still have Himas and Haisaki, very valuable fraggers on that roster, so it's not necessarily just meant to be the one show that they've got happening at the moment, but Tycon is just that good and in that kind of state of mind as to his performance at the moment. That's our final circle. It goes out towards the east.
Yeah, the plane path was another one that was very south heavy, so this one not being so far north is going to be not as brutal as far as rotation distances. But of course, if you're looking day trade at and overpeakers, for example, all the way in from the west side, they're not going to have a great fun time, but they can make another similar rotation that we saw from Wildcard and TMA of looping all the way up and around to hopefully find an open El Azahar sort of area. For Na'Vi, though, they're already center, essentially.
Now, since we're into match 5, already turning somewhat of an attention, obviously, to tomorrow, where we will have our final 5 matches. Day trade, 22 points, 8th place. So, a couple points away from solidifying that cutoff position at around, say, the 30-point mark. Might just fall slightly below that. Keeping that in mind, if you're a tie loop, you're a question mark down the bottom, still in single digits, you know, you're almost in that position where you're going to need 60 points in 5 matches if you don't finish strong here on the final game of the day. Now, BBL, they got themselves up to 18 points, so they're in and around the action now, and all the way down to probably even Danoa on 13 points, all still well and truly within a good shot. They just have to start to find some more fortune. Overpeakers, though, the surprise for me, Cameron, 15 points, and even probably New Happier on 18 points. Both started okay, both have kind of dropped off as the day has progressed.
I mean, coming into group stage is always going to be a challenge coming in from your region because you don't know what the lobby is going to look like. You still have to figure out, like, what's the meta of this zone? Like, how much pressure are we going to have to contend with on the edge? How much contesting for the middle are we going to be having to deal with? And then you have 15 games in group stage, and now you have to relearn all of that over again, which is why teams that start fast, start strong have such an advantage here. I don't think that New Happy, I don't think are playing particularly bad. They're just trying to find that space. Overpeakers, there have been a couple of times that we saw them a little on the back foot, maybe making some overly safe rotations. I'm thinking back to game number 1, how they played around that Razak River sort of spot. I don't know if they don't have the confidence that they started this event with, but again, we've seen so much out of those teams, and as well, every single team in this winner's bracket, because it is a winner's bracket, it's difficult to count anyone out.
Oh, 100%. As we look at Cerberus at the moment, Tycon, I think, might have the quickest rise in terms of fantasy points, I should say, in terms of his cost from 10,000, 28,000 for grand finals. I think he might just be 38,000 going into it the way he's playing. Overpeakers, though, as we were sort of just touching on them, obviously they've kind of quietened down as the day's gone on. They're in Monte Nuevo at the moment. look, they got a distance to travel. They're not going to get prior positions. They're going to be coming in late. I think they have to play into that a little bit more. They have to go back to what they were able to achieve on the first day, especially of the group stage, where they were so aggressive. We talked about that earlier in the broadcast, and still they've just not quite been able to recapture that form.
The problem is, if you're trying to go aggressive, but the teams that you're trying to push on don't give you the opportunity for that first initial knock, or maybe you have to be a little bit too split, find someone to be able to find someone isolated. If the options aren't there, sometimes what looks to be an aggressive maneuver is just you driving into a brick wall. So it's well and good to be looking for those opportunities, but if the defensive teams aren't giving them to you, there's only so much that you can really do, which is why it's important to have a macro playbook there to go with if a fight isn't revealing itself.
So far, no fights revealing themselves early on. 5 minutes in, nothing to really show for it.
Not a single shot fired, I don't think.
Not much of a surprise considering the nature of Miramar. No hot drops, no real contests on the map from what I can see. Most teams are not even really that close to each other either. A lot of space still, especially even though it's out to the east and even though there's a little bit of water, there's still so much landmass that is playable terrain. So many cities, so many compounds. There's still so much you can go and grab. And it's still so hard to sort of understand where the circle's going to be going. But yeah, Duckmai will open it up. With a knockdown onto Quetpot.
Oh, that distance too. Great shot.
But is this convertible? That's the question. To me, the answer's no.
Hey, I mean, style points. I don't care about
Смотрим.
I'm down with the style points for now. The boss is there to go for the revive to allow BBL to get back to 4 strong and continue on into this round. A lot of smokes in play. That's a big investment earlier on.
Yeah.
But hey, it's worth it to get the revive.
And without those smokes, I think Haisaki did have an angle there to maybe punish that revive, potentially. So, still better to be safe than sorry. You don't want to be losing one, maybe even
Здесь, Серег.
this early on.
Все пропустил, наверное, да?
I guess it didn't have a tire, but this is...
Ай?
Well, either way,
Пока
this is
нет,
BBL running on the
сижу.
open. So if they can get down to that little hard cover.
It is a distance away. I mean, these shots are very hard to land for Cerberus, right? So
they only need one.
Yeah, we just saw that.
Imagine if I said that and they landed the headshot. Ah, that's okay. I mean, that would have been my show reel, but it's fine. We'll get another one.
Well, here's the replay of Duckmai's shot from that distance, perfectly aligned to Quetpa's head. Very difficult to replicate those. They happen every now and then, obviously, on Miramar especially, but not quite going to be able to convert. Still, a bit of damage done. BBL, though, I mean, really impressive from them in the last game, as we will hold on to that, because question mark have got Ty Lu, especially Tongs, pushing on to Philfirst and a doozy. They do the right thing, throw the defensive one, and then just get in their vehicles and drive away.
Отдали позицию.
Tongs doesn't take too much damage. It is going to stall him out momentarily, which, as
Не
you say,
хотят драться вдвоем.
allows question marks the opportunity to get away without getting shot in the back. So they can stay alive, stay up. Not as much of a spread as they would have hoped for, but it's on the edge, and shifts are, splits aren't as valuable the further away from center you are, just because of the chance of catching the zone isn't as big. Logos looking for some opportunities of his own. Cerberus might have been so focused onto BBL that they're now getting backfilled, but oh, wait a second, Haisaki is prepared for this. Logos is right in the middle of the 2-2 that Cerberus have been holding on to, which means that if completely unaware, could end up just giving himself away, but he's going to back away, not going to overcommit onto this.
Quiet day from Danoa.
Так, ну... Пока все спокойно играют почему-то очень.
Group A was the Salute Hallen duo play many times over, but that's not something you can rely on, especially in a winner's bracket lobby. They need to be stronger as a 4, as a group, standing strong for longer. Minute and a half remaining here for phase 1. Again, no teams that are close by to each other. There are some shots starting to ring out across the map, as everyone does converge closer towards the center of the circle, but no real fights looking to break out anytime soon.
Might just be a waiting game right now. No one's contesting KDF. Tyloo, the team that's ahead of them, is just continuing to push on forward themselves. So the space is available. I mean, I'm looking at the map. I'm seeing some shots, some tracers of what we see on the map, but it's mostly just sort of bullying each other, yelling insults across the buildings.
Nothing really that's going to stick.
Yeah.
Na'Vi are right in the middle of all of this, Cameron. They are the red bullseye on this dartboard off the back of 2 wins in a row. Surely they can't go for 3 at this level of competition. But hey, they've got a nice 2-2 split, good position. Center Cryer, I mean,
Пока Нави.
gonna get 3 in a row. This is the way to start it all.
Ну, сильный отрыв, я бы сказал, 11 очков у них.
Still going for a little bit more on the rotation. Thunderloss just behind them.
Небольшой такой. Одну каточку и все. И догонит их.
They will have to probably keep driving on by as we head into phase number 2. Anything eccentric? No. Just a bit to the north. Na'Vi will
Спасибо за
be with that.
подписки,
I
ребят.
imagine they may group up actually over towards example. Daytrade on the north side will be somewhat content. Minas Generalis is
За Нави.
really strong focal point for this circle.
Overpeakers with a 3-1 split. They might want to try to adjust this one. A lot of these teams on the south side obviously going to be pushing towards the north. You already see a Hope pushing into Daytrade, who is missing a player of their own. United condensing on up wildcard. And there's a big giant field here in the southern half that all these teams are rotating through, which in a way, because of lack of space available here, means that Circle 2 is technically, quote-unquote, smaller. And there's this pocket in the northwest of Zone 2 that you can make a similar declaration of. So the teams that are already inside here, Twisted Minds being one of them,
Смотрим.
previously, are going to have to fortify themselves just a little bit extra than you would expect on a phase 2.
Опа, 17-го высадили.
Видел. Как бы сейчас еще...
Да, добили.
Ой-ой-ой, не летит тут из... Вот твистов вообще не летит. Там Нави, главное дело, чтоб сейчас Нави хотя бы...
Не драфт не залутали.
Возможно, подумали, что он лутанный, а может кто-нибудь смотрит. Сейчас прочекают.
Так, он успеет уйти.
Сейчас, может, почекают, съездят за ним. Все, монитор я отдал, короче. Старенький свой. А?
Старый?
Не понял.
Старый монитор?
Да, все, отдал.
Куда?
Савит, чувак приезжал.
Мальчик, спасибо за лайм. Так а ты же уже давно с новым, да?
Угу.
Выставил на вид.
Ну, он стоял, лежал Ольга Горчёный. Я говорю, давай, я его выставлю. Ты на Тробус стримишь?
На Трово и на Ютубе.
Ой, нормально.
Мясо.
Видишь, он один ложит двоих у них.
Ну, у них разные, блядь, скиллы, конечно.
Really well played at the moment from Yahoo. Reinforcements arriving as well through Shimboy and Punich. Cow with a bit of damage, but he has just left the position open for Niku's. Balfrost has played as well. Cow from behind. Shimboy has arrived in a timely
Приехали, сейчас добьют.
Have completely dealt with Wildcard. Only one left. It's Brickshot. And he's not
Ну, я знаю. У них-то один ушел.
Сейчас поднимем.
Ну, Ехи пока в замесике нормально так себе подняли.
Уже троих. Уже почти топ-2, блядь. Почти это не совсем. Так, опа, зона дропнулась.
Так, а где все? Не по 2 человека. Думаю, где у них еще двое.
И Нейчи что-то, блядь, вообще потерялись. На 10-м месте, где-то на краю зоны трутся.
Сейчас, может, ультанут. Может, силы оставили.
messy from them in that push. Very much split between
Вон повтор показывает.
towards now, getting ready to move. They're coming in from the east. They already crossed all the way through the center of the map, dodging shots and bullets every which way. Now they got to go back to where they came from, and with just the nature of battle royales and the closing circle, it's going to be even less space available, so they might have to fight a bunch of these teams here on the east side.
Ой-ой. Опа,
Oh,
опа,
Howland
опа.
literally rolling down the hill and is still rolling.
Опа, опа, опа.
Высадят,
А
нет?
его высадят, наверное.
Не-не-не, отпустят.
А им не видно его там.
Вот эти его могут Опять, все высаживают, да.
Ну этих высадит. Да, все, минус команда.
Eliminated. Good point grab for Tyloo. They're one of the teams that was struggling on this leaderboard. So only 3 points would give them a sense of confidence. It also allows them to swing in front of your hoe. They could have a repeat of what just happened.
Вообще нормально так высаживать.
И на коллайдер, спасибо. Чуть Йоха не высадили. Это сюда не зря едут, походу.
Да,
все,
высадили.
Боролись.
Ну,
так хорошо шло у них. Теперь у 5 фрагов уже.
Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой.
Это Тайкон. Ух, вот эта граната сейчас будет, нет?
Да.
Хорошо. Еще одного высадил. Бля, он лютый, пиздец. В прошлом бою троих там высадил один.
Needs to go a bit more to the left with this one. Tycon to finish off the work that he started. There's a bit more to do above though. EM with a good position. Isaki says hello. They will wipe them both
Ой-ой-ой, все.
Young and old. Isaki and Tycon deal with Guangdong Freaks.
And it's good timing as well because they still need to push towards the east to get into the zones, but mostly
Упали вниз,
and that fight between New Happy and Overpeakers. It's not looking good for really either team. Wildcard go down. Bard now with a grenade at the ready. The last one up. Put in some good work. Day number 1 of this entire tournament.
О, прям граната под ними взорвалась, и вообще чутка только снялось.
Said last one alive. Overpeak is just a 15 points from 5 matches. It's not going to be enough to get top 8. If this continues tomorrow, they need to turn their winners bracket fortunes around. Vard obviously will just go for a rank tank, try and stay alive, get into a seamlessly off-meta position and try and catch maybe someone off guard later in one of these buildings, especially as New Happy will eventually clear their way through.
Хорошая граната. Ай-яй-яй, машина отскочила. От машины отскочила.
Но когда сверху, она тоже нормально ебошит.
Ну, поуебало сняло. Зона пошла.
They have one of the worst positions in this zone right now, in the game right now. And they're taking a lot of shots from a number of different day trade members. And on the side of things, Cerberus able to sneak down here on the lower side. Avoid the shots of Chris Mines in 17.
CC 108 avoiding all of those shots from Valmont, pulls out the SLR.
17-й дохнул, кстати.
Я вижу. Высадить нет. Ну если 3 раза ультанут, это вообще будет пиздец лютейшая заруба.
Ну они прям в центре, они уже, у них позиция лютая. Если со следующей зоной повезет еще, будет вообще...
Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой.
They still only have a small little shack to play with. It's not a lot, but if you can continue to land shots like that, if the team can continue to land covering fire like that onto the enemies around them,
Будет поднимать своего.
Back here onto the southeast side, Vard is still up.
Надо никому помешать.
Into this area. I think QM is the
Ой, вовремя дым кинули, на.
Just flooding over to Vard's position.
Vard's just yeeted that flash as far as he can. Obviously, QM pushing in behind NH. Hobbit's holding back to
Ну и Нейдж, кстати, сейчас, я думаю, этих вынесут QM-ов. О, бежит, наверх пошел.
Dead last at the moment. Nate, it is avoided. Aduzi's got another one. Still the Molotov as well. He's got 4 of them. And the timing.
Ай, гранату кидал, нарвался.
Угу.
And blows it to pieces.
Хули стоит, пока кидает, блядь.
Trying to pressure you happy. Does fall. Hobbits and Phil first. The only two remaining.
Не, у Нави вообще прекрасная позиция.
Ну да.
Чтоб зона была не на горе.
Ой. Чутка царапнули. А, вообще прям на децель на тоненьком выжил.
Obviously, Nan gone, so only 3 now for New Happy. TMA. The shack position's not inside of the circle, so a pit stop for them. And a very good one by getting the down onto Hobbits. It's only Phil first left. 4 QM stuck on 5 points. 1 point per game. The question mark. Phil first has to get his short.
Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой-ой.
Да ладно. Не высадил.
Неа.
It's not done just yet. There's so little space to play in this zone. It's essentially a field, even though it doesn't have the textures that make us think of a field. So everyone's just fighting for these edge positions. And this compound that these teams have been fighting over isn't even in the next zone. It's just access to the high ground that's overlooked.
Чуточка осталось.
Honestly, I'm going early. I know, really early, just before 21 minutes. But no one is fighting them, and everyone is fighting each other. He falls to Vard as well. The solo effort here from Vard is exceptional. The man has all the experience in the world to just collect a bit more than this. He knows HS is here. He is almost wiping them out 1 by 1. But Ming Ming will shut down the solo player Vard. A tremendous effort. NT.
Couldn't confirm any of the kills, but he makes it hurt against New Happy. They have to spend that much time to revive. This means that United TMA can potentially get in front of him. On the north side, Day Trade versus Tyler. Tyler tried to stay alive for now. The blue is pushed right next to each other. Good grenades coming out, but
Ну, поцарапал нормально. Так, сейчас добьет.
Еще одна, еще одна.
Добил.
Ба, зацепил.
Quite a bit of health away from him. Sia spots them all. Just standing in front of that ridge line. Tongs is down now. Sia as well. Big name from Pujil. They're just trying to get out of this, but also fighting as they're running behind. Tyler was still just falling to pieces.
Они бросаются.
Just want to get out.
Отдам, мне это выгода. Поднимать, сейчас там из-за зоны один чувак умрет. Ну, на и все хорошо, смотрю.
Да, вообще прекрасно.
Мне себя нормально чувствует.
3 фрага, фул все живы. Я говорю, на позиции охуенная.
О, все, эти быки тоже отъехали.
8 teams remain. We're getting into the placement points now, and as you say, Na'Vi are still just sitting pretty, and they get the shift as well. It's going to have to be a combined effort from the teams remaining to try and upset them.
I don't know who's going to be able to do that. You've got a wounded Day Trade up north on the cliffs. They have to run down out the open. United only have the duo Flood and Kickstart. They're not exactly well equipped as a team to be able to crash a compound like Na'Vi. I think BBL might actually be the only team that might fully be able to test Na'Vi at the end of this game, because obviously 17, Twisted Minds still fighting in Minas Generalis. They've been doing it for about 10 minutes.
It's not going to be a comfortable win for either of these teams. And look, they're immediately getting shot at. Day Trade might have an angle onto them as well. Flash does go down to Na'Vi, so that's going to alleviate that pressure just a little bit, but Logos wants to go aggressive.
Смотри, сейчас 18-е могут убить Твистов.
Уже убивают.
He just wants the kills, wants the death, and he's able to get the nice spray down.
Blue wanted to go for that swap and get over to the other side, hopefully to safety, but it didn't work. He still had the angle. Shout AD with a double kill. Make it 3.
Все, один твист остался.
Чекает, смотри, из быков.
Сейчас высадит. -2, да. Смотри, в соло 2 фрага для команды делает.
But now they too are not in a position to fight Na'Vi. Na'Vi's the only team with all 4 players. They've got center compound. 3 in a row is looking extraordinarily likely.
фаза. Там еще дроп на Нави, что ли, падает?
Мне кажется, да.
Там 2 дропа падают. Смотри, сейчас еще сделаю. Сделает? Блять, не докинул.
Грен больше нет. Ну, одного поднимут из них.
Он сейчас может вылезти, но почему он не уходит? Вот сейчас бы стрелять. А там дым.
Там и 17-й команда, смотрим. Подпушивает по чуточку. Все, они без тачки. Да, он так штефрат принес.
Это 17-й Дэйв еще заберут. Или Нави заберут, по-моему. Все, Дэй минус сейчас будет.
Ну, Нави, видишь, они в центре, их со всех сторон, если начнут сейчас подпушивать, пиздец будет нам.
Но они между собой еще будут ебашиться. Ну и вообще все охуительно.
У них вообще все шикарно, но. Вообще все четенько.
Зона им прокает, конечно, вообще пиздец.
Может, 3-й топчик будет.
Да, я думаю, что будет. Смотри, там у всех по 3, по 2 уже. И все в поле, а этих 4, и они в кемпах, ебать.
Ну, 3 топу это будет вообще, на. О, суперская.
All inclusive, ебать.
Эти тоже минус 1.17.
Интересно, кто-то брал уже 3 раза подряд топ-1? Или это будет впервые в истории?
Посмотрим. О, едут, понимаешь, что надо что-то.
Пизда, а нет, там бугор.
Да, Нави сверху, они, видишь, они в прекрасной, шикарной позиции.
Так я тебе говорю.
Высадят,
17 едут, смотри, 17 едут. Бля, Нави на улице, сука. Ой, отлично. А все, 17 пизда, и сзади сейчас выебут.
Нихуя, видишь, не кидает по ним он.
Нави своих сейчас поднимут, а этим пизда будет. Блять, ЕУ пришел. Да, ЕУ едут под шумок, суки. Минус 1. Блять, чуть-чуть он не добил второго. 5 хп, блять, пиздец. Бля, Нави минус 2, сука. Им надо поднимать срочно своих. На.
Ну все, у них все встали почти.
Последнего. Ну, и ДМ, смотри, надо идти туда. Сейчас через поле. Они не зайдут туда.
У них, видишь, сзади чел. А, не убили, осталось. Впереди 3.
Слева 1.
Куда сейчас зона упадет? Потому что она уйдет от Нави туда к этим. Ждут все зоны. А, зона не будет, Ир, все, это последняя. Это последняя зона. Вот им надо вот этого 17-го забрать последнего.
Они его идут пушить, я думаю.
Да, 5 киллов.
Все, отлично. 7.
8 уже у них.
8 киллов. 4 в 3. У тех позиций нет.
О, дроп что-то не залутанный был, охуеть. Ну, они понимают, где они есть.
На. У Нави один наверху еще сидит, он им вообще не даст выйти. Главное, чтобы его не сняли. Сейчас просто к трассе подойти поближе и гранатами их закидать. И всё.
Все видишь, Нави. Все за Нави. Посмотрим. Даже комментатор говорит Нави. Не знаю, посмотрим сейчас. Это у них, если что, будет третий топ. Гранат нету. А, 2 молота есть.
Этот с грозой еще. Они в третьем шлемах. А, оба с грозой. Сейчас граната будет.
Главное.
Так, -1.
Последний осталось.
Да, последний. Да все, изи катка.
Ебашит. Все, 3 подряд. Охуеть. 3 подряд взяли, блядь. Ебать того в рот, нахуй. 3 топчика взяли.
Привин.
Отдали им 3 катки. Ну сегодня они нормально так ультанули. 3 игры подряд взяли, нахуй, топ-1.
Не там на последних этих выскочили в топ-1. Тут 3 подряд, ебать. А я тебе говорил, они на песчанке ебашутся люто.
Ну 2 песчанки за ними, 2 Мирамара они взяли. Ну теперь можно им идти за пивом.
За пивом идти?
Им, говорю, за пивом идти отдыхать. 3 топчика подряд взяли. Вообще шикарно.
Подожди, они, по-моему, сразу в гранд-финал попадают или нет?
Да.
Значит, они больше играть не будут.
Нави нет.
Ух, ебать, процесс высадил.
Вот, зря они сюда подъехали эти.
Вот эта граната. Бам! 2
Просто тачкой нокнул на. Граната от тачки. А ты сегодня не чекал, там группа Б сегодня не играет? Только эти и все?
Да. Там же 20 дней, ебать.
Все, это фастовые. 5-е было. 3 карты Нави забрали. 2 Мирамара забрали. А это как я, блядь. Ну, он отдает, что в фраге не дать фрагу. Лица у них такие довольные. Нави. 3.
Из 5.
Ну, это хороший показатель.
I think we should do something different. Time to just become God mode. 20 points on the side of Na'Vi here for this last game. Day Trade, BBL, 17 and E United all get double digits.
Their Miramar average today is 19 points per game.
19. All right, call it. It's over.
That's not. All right, the Miramar champs. Let's go.
Oh, you know what's even better? Now we can predict our pre-show for tomorrow. Because what happens on Miramar? It's going to be Na'Vi and Na'Vi out of the two teams that we choose. But here we go. Here's example up at the top with not only the damage but also the kills to boot.
6 киллов.
Yes, to a degree, they had a nice circle for this compound. We can't really say
Нормально, нормально они сегодня так отыграли. Сейчас покажут, нет, кто из них. Как начало? Тебе надо было сначала стримы чекать. Когда начало было, он из Нави, чувак, там по-китайски, по-английски говорили, и он типа сказал: я приезжаю, а мы приехали сюда за победой.
But still 10-point average per game. You get 50 points. Again, still Pajingi Picado gives you a little bit of a bump.
3 топа забрали, ну.
It is looking fantastic for them, even they haven't won it. Samuel on the top here, you're looking happy right now.
Yes, I am. Because if I didn't have him, I'd be absolutely languishing.
Yeah,
6 киллов.
With another
3 килла.
He's a gamer.
He's a gamer. That's right. Seer as well.
Что надо играть, время-то идет.
Ладно, все. Хватит на сегодня. Пойдем топ-1 брать. Вместо Нави. 71. 21 преимущество от 17. Нормально. Да-да. Ладно.